Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the second event in the SSRI Simsport Racing International GT4 Season 3. Welcome to Bathurst, Mount Panorama, for a slightly different race event for the series, as we will have two rounds tonight. For the first time, we will go back-to-back at Mount Panorama for two 30-minute races served up for you guys to enjoy this evening, giving everyone a chance to make amends for the first race or just double the chance to make a mistake. I'm Tim Fulbrook. I'm delighted to be joined once again by Steve Proudley, cameraman and stream director extraordinaire. Steve, how are you doing? And welcome back to a slightly different race event here at Bathurst. What's your thoughts on the format?
Yeah, good evening everyone. Good evening Tim. It's great to be here. Bathurst, fantastic circuit. It's going to throw up some good racing, but for two 30-minute sprint races, two chances for everybody to score some good points. I think it's going to be manic because 30 minutes, it's there isn't a lot of time to recover from any incidents early on in the race. It's going to be, you're going to have to be assertive. You're going to have to make the moves. And let's face it, Bathurst isn't the place to be assertive, is it? You've got to be careful. You've got to be respectful, because not just respectful of your opponents, but you've got to respect the scenery, because most of it's concrete walls. So yeah, anybody picking up damage or dropping down the order early on is going to have a real difficult job to come back through the field. 30 minutes is not a long period of time to make a recovery drive, so it's going to be interesting, going to be good to see. It's going to be definitely good to watch. I think it's going to be awesome to watch, because I don't think I'm going to edge my bets right now and say I don't think we're going to get the same person on top of the podium twice.
Here we go. There we go. That's our bet for this evening from Steve Proudley. Do not put actual money on that, just in case it doesn't come to fruition. But hello to everyone as well watching on the live streams, YouTube and across various other platforms. Do let us know who you're cheering on, your thoughts on the race, and of course, if you do enjoy what you see tonight, please hit the like button or subscribe to SRHI TV and keep up to date with all the sim racing action here as part of this community as it expands and merges with Simsport Racing under the new name Simsport Racing International. Last time out, Alton Park, the first race of the season, it was Aaron Martin Pilkington who took a dominant victory in his debut in the series, ahead of reigning champion Sem Spenkelink, and Danny de Swart rounded out the podium. And on screen at the moment, Aaron Martin Pilkington heading up the hill in qualifying. A 20-minute qualifying session will decide the grid for this first 30-minute race. Then we'll have a bit of a pause and an interval, if you like, as we get set up for race 2. During that time, the drivers will have a 5-minute practice session. Then we will have 10-minute qualifying, a very short, sharp qualifying session before another 30-minute race. Similar fashion as well, no pit stops required. Drivers do not need to head to pit lane to make a mandatory stop as they did in previous seasons. So it's flag to flag action here, and 30 minutes is opening up the door for some really intense racing. Also factor in that there's no change to the points for either races. It's no half points for only 30 minutes compared to the usual 60-minute affair. It is full championship points for each race tonight. And Steve, that just adds to the jeopardy, doesn't it? Because it's not like you've got that margin to play within the championship standings, and as we know, every point will matter when it comes to the final round.
Yeah, absolutely. Every point matters. Every decision that these guys make during the course of a race is going to add or take away points from what is going to be. They're going to be very, very valuable points. We said it with the GT3s the other week, and the same applies for the GT4s. This field is so competitive that you can't afford to throw away any points. Even if you think you're having a bad race, I think it's going to be best to bring the car home wherever you can, score whatever points you can, so you get that decent tally, so you can be the one drinking the champagne at the end of the season.
Well, we dip under 14 minutes to go in qualifying. Currently the provisional pole sitter, Tom Young, in the number 70 Mercedes. He tops the timing sheets with a 2-minute 12.675. He's the best part, 2/10 ahead of Aaron Martin Pilkington. Then Bart Sverink third, Andreas Garlin in fourth place, and Danny de Swart currently rounding out the top 5. The top 5 positions being separated by less than half a second. So despite the track being considerably longer than Alton Park, it's 6 kilometres here at Mount Panorama, the margins between the drivers are just as close as ever, as Tom in the number 70 gets a bit of a slide on the exit of the chase, as we see on the timing graphic on screen at the moment, heading through the final corner. Tricky, deceptive final turn there at Murray's, head into the left-hander. Easy to overrun and shoot on, and actually Tom Young improves his time down to a 2:12.426, so another couple of tenths coming out of the target time for the rest of the field. Looking further down the order, we can see our AM class race winner Colin Hines is, as we see, actually a spin at the top of the hill there. That's one of the Wild Things Racing Porsches. I believe that's Evan Atafas. Potentially come to blows with a BMW there we just saw disappear from shot. But as I was saying, Colin Hines in the number 5 McLaren down in 16th at the moment. He's leading the AM class as a result of a victory at Alton Park last time out. Got some work to do though at the moment, with Mike Bowles in 6th place. Overall, currently heading the AM category, denoted by the white or red numbers on the left-hand side on the timing tower. Andreas Garland going quickly here, Steve. Looks like he could improve on his time.
Yeah, absolutely. He's 2 tenths up currently as he comes down Conrod straight into the final part of this lap now. Just quick good evening to Mark Noitlings, who's taking a break from his favourite track, Snetterton. He's come to watch the action before he goes back to grind out some practice for the GT3 Championship. But yeah, he's 2 tenths up his Garland still, and he's just maybe sneaking an extra 10, 3 tenths up as he comes out in the last corner. Definitely going to improve, and he does up to 2nd place. Still just a shade under 3 tenths off that provisional pole at the moment, but it's looking relatively close. We have seen closer timing sheets throughout the seasons, but Bathurst, it's one of those, isn't it? It's a real confidence track, and if you aren't confident heading over the top of the mountain, you are going to lose literally half a second here and there. You're going to lose big chunks of time, and I think that's maybe why we're not quite seeing this the timings as close as we have done at other tracks.
It's definitely a circuit where that makes a difference, doesn't it? You almost turn into corners completely blind. I mean, coming up the hill as Andreas Garland is now towards the cutting, you're braking, turning, kind of diving through the walls, and that's only going up the mountain, let alone going across the top and down through the Dipper and Skyline. As Bart Sverink crosses the line, he goes to pole position for the time being, a 2-minute 12.207, knocking Tom Young from the top spot. Is the driver of the number 26 MDM Motorsport BMW. So the quick times are starting to come in. Here's Alexander Delors heading down the hill into the tricky Forest Elbow, understeer inducing camber chain. Just looked to run wide there, Steve, cost himself some time.
He was half a second up, and he cost that all of that half a second disappeared just by running that little bit wide there. Real shame for Delors there. It was, like I say, half a second up, which would have done him no harm whatsoever. It would have got him well inside that top 10 and possibly up into sort of 5th or 6th place there with that time. But he's going to reset. Hopefully he's got the fuel on board to go again. I think the other thing is, as well as the confidence over the top of the mountain, we're starting to see 1 or 2 cars head back to the pits, which takes away some of the traffic from the track, because as we saw in the earlier laps, there were people tripping over each other at the top of the mountain, so it's very difficult to get that clear run tonight, and that is so important. You know, over the top of the mountain, you've got to be confident. You need that clear run. There's no room to overtake anybody up there, not without costing yourself time. So you meet someone at the top of the mountain, and it's game over more or less for your lap time.
Very much single file through certain sections of the track, but there are overtaking opportunities thanks to these long straights, like the Conrod Straight and especially the mountain straight going up the hill towards Griffiths Bend. But you've got to make it work, and you've got to have a compliant competitor if you're both going to make it through the next corner safely. Geordie Backer on screen, Pulse Motorsport number 99 Aston Martin, didn't race last time out Alton Park. He looks to be flying down the hill at the moment as he heads in towards Forest Elbow, where we saw the mistake previously from Delors. Exiting there cleanly, getting a great run. And now, Steve, it's pedal to the metal, keep it flat as you come towards the final part of the lap. Geordie Backer looking good though.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got to keep it all together now. This is the easy bit. This is where he gets to take a little bit of a rest down the Conrod Straight. He'll just have that right foot pinned to the floor now, and he'll just bring it out wide as we see. Just a slight gentle turn over to the right. Now into the heavy braking zone, into the chase. This is where he's got to get it right. He's got to just clip that apex there on his left, then into the right, and back down here now towards Murray's Corner. And Murray's Corner is one of those corners, if you get it right, you can make a 10th or 2. Currently, he is slightly up on his time, but just to see how much, let's see, and he goes up to 17th place there, so he's 2 seconds off provisional pole, but he's got himself right in the middle of the pack now, and that was a pretty good lap from back of there.
A nice cycle lap indeed, but as Steve mentioned, 2 seconds to find if he's going to challenge Bart Sverink, who's still top of the pile at the moment. As we cut to Sem Spenkelink, a driver who's given himself a challenge this season with the Maserati Gran Turismo. And here at Mount Panorama, Steve, that car is going to be a handful times 1,000 in my estimations. That thing's going to be a big old challenge to get across the top of the hill.
It is indeed, but just very quickly I'm going to cut to Danny de Swart, because he's now 5/10 up on his time as he comes into Murray's corner. If he gets this right, this is going to put him up closer, possibly onto the front row, maybe. Depends, he's lost a little bit of time coming out of there, so he's not quite going to get him on the front row. Maybe that was an invalid lap, because the time hasn't counted.
Hasn't counted, but a 2:12.8 would have seen him jump up to P4 in the standing, so only would have gained 1 position if he had managed to keep that lap clean. Danny had a fantastic round at Alton Park, going from 7th on the grid to 3rd. Still not enough to match his best from last season, which was a race win at Suzuka. Have to see if he can go again here though at Bathurst. He's got 2 opportunities to take victory as we ride aboard with Sem Spenkelink over the crest and then down and then climb back up towards Griffin's Bend. Land the brakes heavy into here, throw the car in and try and get on the power as early as possible, ride the curb all the way out to the wall, and here you're already trying to look as far up the track as possible to find your braking point and your line for the cutting as you're going through the left-handed cambered hairpin, still climbing, still ascending up on the side of Mount Panorama, up through the right-hander under the BP Ultimate Bridge, then through the left, trying to use the curb maybe just to knock the car away from the wall slightly, then down through the double left as we come up towards McPhillamy Park, and he gets all kinds of sideways, scrapes the wall there I think on the right hand side, and again through the left. It looked like he almost made contact, then into Skyline. Hold your breath through here, fly over the top of the mountain, try and make your braking points. There's no margin for error at all. 1 slip, you'll find yourself heading into the wall, but he manages to get through the cutting nice and cleanly. Then you come through the right hander before the forest elbow, and you can just see there as the car tries to brake and turn, it doesn't want to do any of that, it just goes straight in towards the apex. Luckily Sem Spenkelink able to make the best of it, not quite get the optimum line through there though, would have cost him time slightly on the exit as he's now down the Conrod Straight, climbing up over the crest into what is the fastest part of the circuit. We'll come down towards the chase, use that extra bit of asphalt on the left hand side, throw the car into the right, then bring it all the way over to the right hand side of the track as you try and brake in a straight line through the chase, clip the curb on the left, run it on the right hand side as you then set up for the final part of the track, the final corner. It's the left hander 90 degrees at Murray's, but it's certainly tricky having flown yourself over the top of Mount Panorama into the final corner. Sem Spenkelink set to improve. Let's see if he crosses the line. No, he doesn't improve, but meanwhile we have a new pole position man, Danny de Swart. He did have time in the bag and he's now managed to prove it. A 2:11 11.916 sees him knock Bart Sverink from top spot. But is Bart ready to respond, Steve?
Yeah, not quite on this lap. This is his out lap, so he's still building up to take the line and go for that flying lap with just over 4.5 minutes left. But that was one hell of a lap from Danny de Swart. I mean, he was a good 8-9 tenths up. He was almost a full second quicker than his previous best, and he's the first man, as you say there, to go into the 2:11s. So he's set the bar high. But as we've seen, these guys there's nothing they like more than a challenge, and they certainly challenge. But just going back to Spenkelink there. That Maserati, didn't that car sound awesome? I love the onboard with that car because it sounds like a race car, let alone drives like one with all the corrections he has to make on that wheel going over the mountain with the lack of driver aids that he's got. He, as you said, Sem's got a real challenge in that car, but if anyone can, Sem can.
Absolutely. So we'll look to see him try and improve again. 9th place for Sem in the number 76. He's got 1.7 seconds to find if he's going to be challenging the front row. It's Mercedes, BMW, the top 4 at the moment. Then it's the Aston Martin of Andreas Garlin, the number 188. Then, currently on the 3rd row in P6, is Mike Bowles in the number 32. He's doing a fantastic job in the Mercedes. Bowles actually qualified 25th and finished 13th last time out at Alton Park. So the dynamic kinetic racing driver clearly finding a track he enjoys. Zverink, though, hustling on, having a brief encounter with the wall, I'm sure of it, as he climbs up over the mountain. Then into McPhillamy Park through the left-hander. Zverink looking quick, Steve.
Yeah, he's looking very. He's definitely trying. He's definitely on the edge there as he just comes down through the dipper there. You've got to get that right, because if you don't, the car just becomes so light and you end up bouncing off the walls. But he's just got the last section of the mountaintop to go now, down through Forest Elbow and trying to get a good run out onto Conrod Straight. Get that foot planted. Don't get the understeer, which he didn't. He managed to just miss that wall by inches, and he's now absolutely flat out. And he's roughly 3/10 up at the moment on his previous best. So that is enough to take pole position back if he can carry this speed, and he's just got to carry it down Conrod Straight. He'll be building, then into the chase. Now he's just got to hit these apexes just right, carry as much speed as he possibly can without unsettling the car. A little bit wide through that first apex, he's hugging the next apex and he's going to keep it tight. He's flat out using all of the track there, so he's looking good. He has actually lost a 10, so he's just 2/10 up, and I think he lost that through the chase. As I said, he was a little bit off the apex there. Little bit steady through there, but smooth is good, and he's definitely a couple of tenths quicker, and he's within 0.05 seconds of that pole.
Incredible. 600ths of a second separate pole position and second place as it stands. Bart Zverink gets close, but it's not quite enough to knock Danny de Swart from provisional pole. 1 minute 51 seconds remains on the clock. Drivers will need to be out on track now if they're going to get round and improve their time. Crucially, Danny de Swart not out on track. Aaron Martin Pilkington has just headed out on track. He's out on his outlap at the moment. In fact, he heads back to pit lane. So no, Aaron Martin Pilkington has decided his fate. P4 will be the best he can start this evening. Andreas Garland, looking to improve as well. Currently in P5, he's got 8/10 to find if he's going to take pole position, and he'll have one more chance after this as he'll cross the line before the timer has expired. Into the chase. Traffic looks good in front. Looks like there's a couple of cars just backing up into Murray's to make sure they've got clear air in front of them. That shouldn't affect the driver of the 188 Mad Goetzer Racing, Aston Martin. As he comes down towards Murray's, the final corner. Nail your braking zone, head in through the left hand. He runs just slightly wide there, picking up some understeer. He does improve, but it's only to P4. Still 7.5 tenths. Can he go again? Can he jump up towards the front row? Tom Young, provisional pole sitter early on in this session, was then pushed down the order by Danny de Swart and Bart Zverink. He's now looking to respond in the Battenberg Sport number 70 Mercedes, heading over the top of the mountain in towards McPhillamy Park, leaving nothing out there on the track, running as close to the walls as he possibly dared. Now it's Skyline, hold your breath, throw yourself over the crest. Tom Young looking good through there, a couple of adjustments of the steering and the brakes as he heads down through the dipper. He's going to come up towards the Forest Elbow now, needs to nail his braking zone. Seems to do it actually, gets the nose in pretty well into the Forest Elbow, almost skimming the wall on the inside, running all the way out to the wall on the right hand side just for good measure. As he heads now down the Conrod Straight, you can see that he's going to receive the checkered flag at the end of this lap, so it's his last attempt to improve. 5/10 to find for Tom Young if he is going to jump up towards pole position as he heads down towards the chase. Flying flat out through the right hand, he's going to drop the brakes with about 100 yards in towards the left-hander, climbing, misses the curb on the inside there slightly, and then runs over the right-hand side, maybe opting not to get dislodged by the curb. Very steep curve at the chase. One more corner for Tom Young. Drop the brakes in towards the left-hander. Murray slightly wide. He was about a car's width off the apex, across the line. Young improves, but it's not enough. He stays in P3. Mike Abrenhoser, however, Steve, looks to be going quicker as well from P6.
Yeah, absolutely, 4/10 up. Young there was only a tenth or so up, and he just couldn't carry it. He ran wide there through that final corner. It cost him the time, but Abrenhoser now is half a second up as he enters the Conrod Straight now. As we said before, this is the easy bit. This is just get that right foot planted, bury the throttle, and just hope you've managed to get the best exit you possibly can out of Forest Elbows, and you're going to maximise your speed down here as he approaches the chase at a high rate of knots now. Get this apex just right as you go towards the chase now, and this is the crucial bit, the final 3 corners, 1, and he's blown it. That was half a second up, and that track limit's gone, and he's the last man on the track, I believe, that's had any chance to improve his position there, Tim.
And he definitely knew it as well as he pulls over to the left-hand side. Immediately, Mike Abramhosa presented with an opportunity to jump up the order and potentially challenge for the second row there, but he will be stuck down in 6th place, looking for a way to fight back through the order in the Team Abbey Racing number 21 BMW. So a couple of cars just finishing their laps, the number 114 and the number 74. That's like in the 114 Mercedes, but neither of them looking to improve on this lap. So times positions should stay the same. Saying that, actually, like does improve up to P9, jumps up a couple of positions, knocking down, I believe that's Yannick Valenduk in the number 808, but I have to check. As we'll just give you a quick run through the order. Sorry, that was Zander Vale in the number 808. It's Danny de Sport. He takes pole position for race 1 here at Bathurst this evening. The driver of the number 57 Mercedes, setting a time of 2 minutes 11.916. He was challenged closely by Bart Svering in the number 26 BMW, 600ths of a second separating the top 2. Then it's Tom Young, Andreas Garlin, Aaron Martin Pilkington, race winner from Alton Park in 5th. Then it's Mike Abramhosa, Mike Vowles, the top AM driver, up in 7th place overall, Alexander Delors. Then in 9th place we have Like in the number 114 Mercedes. Then it's Zander Vale rounding out your top 10 ahead of Sem Spenkelink, reigning champion, down in P11. Then in P12 we have Peter Vernier, Denise Pope in P13, Patrick Vance P14, and Dennis Berkman rounds out your top 15 position. Steve, that qualifying session was close, but get the feeling just from the cars that are towards the front of the order there, Mercedes and BMW seem to be the stronger cars already this evening. But having a good car is one thing, getting it done at Bathurst quite another.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they're going to have to be, super careful and, be precise. They don't want to throw it all away. And just look at the size of that grid. We've got a good number of cars on the grid this evening, and it's going to be crucial to keep it clean. 33 cars taking to the grid tonight, so that's 33 cars all heading for the first corner and up the cutting for the first time. Bathurst, it's more about getting up to the mountain and through the cutting cleanly. The first corner here, they're not usually doing such a great rate of knots, and it generally goes pretty well, dare I say it, but it is once they get up to the cutting, that's the first fast approach to the corner, and that's where sometimes we get a little bit of contact as they all try and squeeze through there in between the walls. Absolutely no runoff, but that is one thing that these guys do not want to do tonight, and that is to pick up any damage of any sort in the race, because that will curtail any chance of good points tonight. It's going to be all about getting a clean start, making your moves count, being precise, being decisive, and no hot potatoes, Tim.
Absolutely no hot potatoes here at Mount Panorama. Certainly a circuit where you don't want to be one of those. 33 cars on the grid at the moment. It's quite incredible to think that we're going to somehow squeeze these cars around the Mount Panorama circuit, and they are all on grid and ready to roll away for this first race of the evening. 2 races, 2 30-minute races, neither of them requiring a pit stop. It is flag to flag action here at Simsport Racing International. Danny de Swart leads the grid away up towards Hell Corner for the first time. Obviously this is the parade lap, don't worry, they're not quite that slow when things get racing, and you will want to enjoy a quick pause for breath here at the moment, because I'm sure that once the green flag waves you won't be able to grab a second until the checkered flag is waved.
Sorry, no, Tim, I'm just cutting in there. What's going through Aaron Martin Pilkington's mind this evening now? He was obviously a clear winner last time out. He's not qualified by his standards in the best position possible. He's in 5th. He's got a couple of rows in front of him. There's 2 lots of points to be scored tonight. How do you think he's approaching the race?
Almost certainly if Aaron Martin Pilkington has his eyes on the championship, which I think he does. I mean, we know Aaron, don't we? He wants to win. There's no way, two ways about it. He's not here just to have fun. When the virtual visor goes down, he's here to take maximum away from every single race. And I think he'll be pushing hard to get a few positions off this start. I wouldn't be surprised to see him running in the top 3 by the end of the first lap. But I think if there's a risk or something not quite worth going for, he might just have a second thought about it and maybe start looking towards the final race of the season. Because looking further down the order, the likes of Sem Spenkelink in 11th, I mean, that's really the benchmark, the challenge for these guys. If they can beat Sem, who's reigning champion, they know they're doing a good job and they're on course for a strong finish. And I think Aaron Martin Pilkington's already starting to eye up who his competitors are. That being said, Danny de Swart, P3 at Alton Park, now on pole position, is maybe thinking this is a good opportunity as ever to score a massive haul of points, isn't he? With 2 opportunities to score 50 points for the race victory, it's a huge chance for the driver of the 57 Merc to really take a hold in the standings.
Yeah, and it could be argued that Danny de Swart on pole position, he's got the hardest job at the start because he's got that advantage of having a few yards on the other guys. He's gonna, I'm pretty sure he'll get up to the cutting for the first time. But as they come over the mountain where they are now towards the Forest Elbow, it's all about getting a good drive off that Forest Elbow for the first time when they come round in anger, because that's Conrod Straight is one heck of a slipstream down there for the guys behind him, and he could find himself under attack from 1, 2 and even 3 cars by the time he gets towards the chase.
Absolutely, and that is one of the big overtaking opportunities, isn't it? I mean, you almost single file across the top of the mountain and waiting for this opportunity to utilise that slipstream and beat them late on the brakes into the chase. And like I said, looking at that front 7 really, it's all mainly BMW and Mercedes cars, the Aston Martin of Andreas Garlin bucking the trend in P4. That just shows you that these cars seem to have the legs, I think, seem to have the control and stability across the top. But looking at the timings, I think Danny de Swart had a couple of tenths over everyone just in the final sector, and a lot of that is flat out running. So as they come over the hill there at Conrod Straight, the drivers weaving left and right, trying to get just a bit more heat into the tyres as they prepare for the start of race 1 this evening. Drivers will be forming up into the 2x2 formation shortly. Hello to everyone watching on, to Michael, Nard Cox, Benjamin Simmers as well, watching on, Chris Hill and Everin Yamak. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I hope you enjoy the racing we have ahead of us as the GT4 field now gets themselves arranged into the grid formation. Danny de Swart will be on the inside for the first time into Hell Corner. We'll be hoping to keep hold of P1 as they head up towards Griffin's Bend. Into the final turn here at Murray's, and then we'll be going green here at Mount Panorama, Bathurst in New South Wales, around the final corner. 30 minutes on the clock, but we will go green twice tonight. Danny de Swart ready to take the flag, rolling towards the line, ready to go green. And the green flag waves, and it's a fantastic start from de Swart, but he is matched on the outside by Sverink, who's going to look to try and go the long way round. As through the middle, Aaron Martin Pilkington side-by-side contact there with Andreas Garlin. He has gained, though, 1 position off the start up to P4. Danny de Swart holds on to his lead as they shoot up Mountain Straight. In the background, though, bit of contact for the black and yellow Mercedes there, heading into the wall on the outside of the turn. As Sverink looks to the outside of our race leader into Griffin's Bend, it looks like the lead hasn't changed, and Danny de Swart holds on to P1 as they head up the hill for the first time. It is de Swart from Sverink, Young, Garlin, then it's Aaron Martin Pilkington. Martin Pilkington jumped the Aston Martin there, so he's up to P4. Further back, maybe some drama, a little bit of head-butting as they head towards into Griffin's Bend. Now through the cutting and up over the top of the mountain, Aaron Martin Pilkington has his crosshairs set on the Mercedes of Tom Young. And Mike Abramhose has made a great start up to P6 now. Mike Bowles in 7th. Ahead of Sem Spenkelink, who's flown up the order from P11 on the grid. Then it's Alexander Delort. Then it's Like in P10. Denise Pope, Dennis Berkman, Sander Vale, Peter Vance, Patrick Veneer, rounding out your top 15 as they head down the hill through the cutting for the first time of asking. Martin Pilkington tucked up under the rear wing of the Mercedes. If anything, he's getting slightly offline, just trying to follow the car down the hill and into the forest elbow for the first time. You could see Aaron Martin Pilkington trying to set up the exit as we have a challenge for the lead. Zverenk and de Zwart side by side down the Conrod straight. They are completely lockstep and key as they go over the crest, side by side. Flat out here, the real one gaining is going to be Young behind. He's getting a double slipstream off the two cars in front. They head into the chase. De Zwart now going to be on the outside as Zverenk has two wheels on the grass. He drops the brake. Does he run in deep? Yes, he's going to cut across the grass. Where will he rejoin? He slows down. He's going to file into line, potentially in third place. So Tom Young, the benefactor there. Now Aaron Martin Pilkington sends one up the inside, sniffs at the opportunity and takes order change then across the line. Danny de Zwart leads, but Tom Young's up to second place. Aaron Martin Pilkington does get up to P3 as I predicted at the end of lap 1. Then it's Bart Zverenk and Andreas Garland. Steve, what a start from the top 5 there, really hustling each other over the top of the mountain.
Yeah, some awesome driving from all drivers involved, and you could see as Zeewink went onto the grass, he just sort of compromised his braking zone, and there was no way he was scrubbing all that speed off in time to hit the apex of the chase. And he bailed out of it very sensibly in a real sensible rejoin, really clean, very good. Didn't defend the position too hard against Pilkington, more or less let him go through there because he had the speed on him. But it's all line astern at the moment, all looking relatively good. The guys are doing what they need to do now. They're filing, and Pilkington's definitely pushing, as we just see Young there hit the wall, and that's giving Pilkington the chance to go round the outside, and hopefully Young hasn't picked up too much damage and will be able to compose a challenge back at Pilkington. But yeah, Pilkington's a man on the move, as you said. Spenkelink not having a bad race, he's up to 8th place now. But Aaron Martin Pilkington, it's funny, I was asking you how he would approach this race. He's picking up the positions very sensibly, isn't he? He's not doing anything too silly, he's not doing anything too rash. He's just driving his lines and he's picking up those positions as the other drivers actually make the mistakes.
Can be a race of attrition here at Bathurst, and it looks like rising above that, Aaron Martin Pilkington in the 626 BMW. In the back of shot there, Sem Spenkelink looked to be challenging Mike Abranhoser for P7. Mike Vowles actually has jumped up to P6, so he's leapfrogged the pair of them, potentially as they battled, compromised each other, lost time. The driver of the number 32 Mercedes has skimmed through and leapfrogged the pair of them. Now Aaron Martin Pilkington tucked in the slipstream of Danny de Zwart. He's going to be looking for a move as they blast down the Conrod straight and into the chase for the second time. Can he line one up on the brakes? No, he's just a little bit too far back that time. Wouldn't be surprised to see him trying again. But he managed to get through the chase cleanly that time. No one running wide and off through the grass. And de Zwart actually having to defend into the final corner at Murray's as Martin Pilkington looks to the outside. There's side-to-side contact. Martin Pilkington running deep. He's going to be in the gravel. Can he keep it out of the wall? Yes, he can, just about. But he's cost himself many positions in that slight exchange with the race leader, dropping down behind Mike Abranhoser, I believe. So he'll fall into line P7, just in front of his championship contender there, Sem Spenkelink, as they run through Hell Corner. Aaron Martin Pilkington held up on the outside there. That's allowing Spenkelink to cut to the inside. They are side by side on the mountain straight as they go over the crest. They'll dip down and then climb again towards Griffin's Bend. Who's going to back out here? It's almost mind games between the pair of them as they head into the right-hander. Spenkelink not saying no. He's trying to go all the way around the outside of the climbing right-hander. They're still side by side as they ascend up towards the cutting. Sem gets the job done in the Dark Sky Racing Maserati and holds on to P7. Steve, that was an important move for Sem Spenkelink, but it also just shows that the title fight's going to start heating up between these two.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that was a difficult move for anybody, but in that car, the Maserati there, for me, you know, love both of those drivers, but Sem deserved that position just for having the audacity, the courage, the bravery and the skill to hang it around the outside there and turn it into the inside for the next corner and take the position. I think that was an awesome piece of driving from both of them. They showed each other enough respect, they gave each other just enough room, but Sem managed to get the job done, and Pilko won't be happy with himself there. He'll be looking at the back of Sem's car now, and he knows what he needs to do. He'll be trying to work his way back through the field in the last sort of there's 24 minutes just under of this race to go, so still plenty of time. Nothing's really changing up at the front at the moment, as we can see. De Swartz there almost comfortable with a half-second gap. The slipstream will be having an effect for Young, but he's just not quite close enough, and let's not forget we don't know how much damage Young took from hitting the wall, because he hit it fairly hard, and one of the first things to happen usually at Bathurst is it affects your top speed, so maybe he's struggling in a straight line now.
Quickly how a race can change around here at Bathurst. Tom Young skimming the wall and looking to fight back. Now he's up to P2 as Spenkelink and Martin Pilkington are exchanging blows once again through the chase. Spenkelink on the inside, sorry. Martin Pilkington trying to go around the outside. That didn't pay off for him last time. He tries to get on the brakes early and cut back underneath the Maserati on the exit of Murray's Corner, but he can't get the job done this time. All this fighting is allowing Like and the number 114 Mercedes to close right up on the pair of them. And we know how quick the Merc is here. Be looking for a way past shortly if he can latch onto the slipstream. So let's run through the order then. After 3 laps here at Bathurst, it feels like we've had an entire race already. It's Danny De Swart who leads the way by 3/10 over Tom Young. It's a Mercedes 1-2 at Mount Panorama, but that could be set to change as Bart Sverring gets a great exit from the Griffin's Corner and up the hill. He's passed, so BMW up to second place. Sverring in the number 26 car now has his crosshairs set on De Swart. A change again in the top 3. It's then Andreas Garlin in P4 ahead of Mike Vowles, the highest placed AM driver, doing a stellar job in P5 in the number 32 Team Dynamic Kinetic Racing car. Then it's Mike Cabron-Hoser, Sem Spenkelink, Aaron Martin Pilkington, Like and Pope rounding out your top 10 ahead of Delore, Vale, Workman, Veneer and Van Mellis, your top 15. Looking at this timing graphic here, Steve, we can see on the previous lap it actually looked like Tom Young had the advantage over his competitor in Bart Sverring, but something just happened there on the run up the hill towards Griffin's Bend, and the BMW able to get past the Mercedes.
Yeah, I'm just going to watch the 2 cars now as they come down Conrod Straight. The interesting thing will be to see the top speed of the cars, to see if Tom Young's car is suffering with any top speed issues, and just compare the two and see what it is. At the moment it's looking all good, so maybe he's not picked up too much damage at all. Yes, he's in the slipstream, but so is Zewing from the car in front as well, so looking like they're pretty much well matched, and maybe, you know, despite what I was saying, it doesn't look like there really is any damage affecting that Mercedes.
He'd be lucky to get away with it, hasn't he? And it looks like Tom Young is unscathed considering his brush with the wall as Sverring goes to the outside of Danny De Swart into Murray's, trying to make the move work. The BMW driver going for the lead, unable to make it work that time. They still, order remains the same as Garlin's in the wall on the exit of Murray's. He skims through the barrier, clipping the right hand side of the Vantage there. He's going to have to defend them from behind as Vowles, Abram-Hoser start to close in. You can see the black, white and red Mercedes is certainly closed up on the back of the pink Aston Martin. In fact, it looked like Abram-Hoser was going to go for a move on the AM class leader. There it is. Vowles maybe doesn't need to fight this one too hard. He is in a strong position in the AM category, but every position is still one worth fighting for. To the inside, they're side by side. Vowles up on the curb. Abram-Hoser gets the job done, goes the long way around the Mercedes up through Griffin's Bend. Behind, it looks like Aaron Martin Pilkington's got past Sem Spenkelink as well, so that's a change of position. The number 626 now looking to kick on and climb up towards Mike Vowles, who's in the 32 Mercedes, who just saw being passed by Mike Abram-Hoser. This top 3 though locked together. If anything, Danny De Swart just able to extend the margin over the top of the mountain here. It all seems to close up again as they fly down Conrod in the slipstream, coming up towards Skyline. And Steve, it's so difficult to drive a car around this part of the track anyway, let alone when you're following a car so closely and battling for position.
Yeah, I mean, we say it week after week, round after round, you've got to put pressure on the car in front because the times are usually that close. You're not going to get it done on a performance and a time differential. You're not going to get that overtake done because quite often the times are literally within a few hundredths or even just tenths of each other. But it's all about forcing that mistake. But as you say, to drive so close to the car in front over the top of the mountain, it can end so badly very quickly. But these guys doing a great job. But like you say, De Swart is just edging away, seems to come away with about half a second gap each lap, and it closes up towards the end of the lap as it is doing now, with Zerwig just really getting onto the back of him into that heavy braking zone. But as they go over the start-finish line and back up the mountain straight, you'll start to see De Swart pull away again, and as they go over the mountain, he seems to be able to open that gap up a bit.
Ebbing and flowing as it always does in sports cars, and particularly in GT4 racing. There's a new fastest lap coming in from Aaron Martin Pilkington, a 2-minute 12.465. He's decimated that gap to the back of Mike Vowles in the number 32 Mercedes, and he will be looking for a way through shortly.
Look at that lap time difference.
I was going to say, what a difference, 1.7 second. Majority of that coming through sector 2, which is that confidence section over the top of the mountain. Two moves going on screen. Abrenhoser to the outside of Garlin as Martin Pilkington looks to go the long way around Mike Vowles as well. Who will pull it off? No, neither BMW manages to advance their position. It's holding in line for now. In the race lead, it's Danny De Swart holding on to top spot whilst being challenged from Bart Zverink and Tom Young as well in the number 70 Mercedes. That's your top three. Comparison on screen now, you can see just how much of a difference there is between Aaron Martin Pilkington and Vowles in the Mercedes. The BMW driver is absolutely flying off the back of his race victory at Alton Park. Debutant in the series, certainly making his presence known. The top three now just have a little bit of breathing room actually over P4, so there's a slight gap as Tom Young skips through Skyline there. He had to bail out nice and early to do that. You won't be able to do that too many times though, Steve. We will pick up a track limits warning, I'm sure of. Just that slight skip through there, maybe slightly slower. Surprisingly, you would think it would be quicker, but that has allowed Garlin just to shuffle back towards this top three. I wonder if we're going to see a move from Bart Zverink once again as he's in the slipstream of Danny De Swart, rounding out this lap over the Conrod stretch down towards the chase. Really closing in actually in the slipstream this time. Will Bart Zverink look to the outside? Danny De Swart defends, then moves over to the right-hand side again, but leaves the lane. Zverink goes for it, but runs deep again, skips through the grass through the final part of the chase, and that's going to allow Tom Young through, so a change for P2. Bart Zverink skips through the grass at the chase and unfortunately loses out to the Mercedes as Aaron Martin Pilkington looks to make a way past Vowles. Unable to do it that time into Murray's, who'll have to fight again. Garlin defends to the inside on the run up toward Hell Corner. Can he hold on to P4? Yes, he can. Oh, as there looked to be contact behind there. Indeed, there was. Mike Vowles goes straight on at Hell Corner and off into the runoff area there. He's parked up and stopped. So position gain for Martin Pilkington. He didn't need to make the pass on track, but that's heartbreaking from the driver of the number 32 car, who was doing such a fine job in the AM class. As Mike Abrenhoser finally makes his way past Andreas Garlin. But Steve, that was a strange one there for the dynamic kinetic racing man in the Mercedes. Just seemed to run on there, not too sure what would have caused that.
Yeah, absolutely. Not too sure whether he got a tap from behind. I don't think so, but I'm going to maybe just try and find a replay if I can find a gap in the action to show a replay. It's been quite frenetic this evening. It's great racing from all involved, and it's looking really exciting. And let's not forget, this is the first of two races, so we've got to do this all over again. 15 minutes left on the clock for this one, and it's De Swart who's controlling it. It looks like Zerwig's really trying very hard, and he's overcooking it. He's made sort of 2 or 3 big mistakes this race. Very lucky not to have collected any scenery, not picked up any damage, but he's cost himself positions. You know, potentially he's cost himself a race lead at the moment, as I see it. I think he's the quickest man in race trim at the moment. He's just pushing that bit too hard, though. He's making those mistakes. But let's not forget the guys behind Garlin, Abrenhoser. They seem to me they're closing up.
Yeah, Mike Abrenhoser certainly on the move at the moment, up to P4 and looking to fight past the BMW of Zurich. It's behind. We saw Garlin and Martin Pilkington battling it out. They are side by side over the crest and down towards the chase. Martin Pilkington on the inside, which then will become the outside is the left-hander, and Garlin's off, skipping through the grass. Will he make contact? No, they just managed to avoid being collected by the pink Aston Martin. Very close indeed, and a flash of the lights on the exit of the chase. just to let Aaron Martin Pilkington know that maybe Garland wasn't too pleased with how that move went down. As we see comparison of times here, Bart Sverring looks to be have the pace over Mike Abramhoser, specifically on lap 7. But before that, lap 6 and lap 5, the driver of the 21, he had the pace advantage over the driver of the number 26. But the top 3, nose to tail, tail to nose it is as they come up towards Griffin's Bend. Danny Desport still holds on to the lead after 7 laps of action here. But Tom Young runs slightly wide at Griffin's Bend, and that's allowed Sverring to run side by side as they climb up the hill into the cutting. Sverring backs out of it this time, lives to fight another day. He's potentially used up a few too many of his 9 lives than he would have liked. Might start driving a bit more cautiously into this, the second half now of this 30-minute race. 13 and a half minutes to go. Probably just hoping to get to the checkered flag and hold on to a podium position. Abramhoser and Martin Pilkington, though, will be hustling on, trying to close the gap. The top 5 are very close together. Then there's a 2.7 second gap back to Andrea Garland in the number 188 Aston Martin. Then it's Sem Spenkelink, and then a gap of 4 seconds back to Like in the 114. So unfortunately, looking down the timing tower, I can see that in 20th position, Mike Vowles has headed back to pit lane in the number 32 Mercedes. That's heartbreaking considering how well he was running. Well inside the top 10, was the leader of the AM category. Unfortunately now, he looks like he's out of the race. It's top 5 though, Steve. Look how close this is. Fairly little to choose between the 5 of them as Sverring is going to have to defend from Abramhoser in towards the chase.
Yeah, absolutely. Just really close down here now, and Pilkington's managed to get himself dragged back up to a watching brief, and he's looking at these guys. Oh, battlings, we just see there Young, definitely Young just turned it around and he's lost his position there. Not sure if there was contact as they entered the braking zone. I think there was, and that's cost him the position, top 5 position at least. He's probably going to drop further down the order as well.
Yeah, Danny Desport as well being hustled for the race lead. Bart Sverring looking to pounce on the opportunity, and now Aaron Martin Pilkington, after that mistake early on, dropped him down the order. He's looking for 3rd place on Mike Abramhoser up the inside into Hell Corner. The number of the 626 BMW gets the job done, back onto the podium position. Now he needs to do what he did earlier, get the pass done on Bart Sverring, and maybe challenge Danny Desport for the race victory. 11 minutes and 37 seconds remaining. As Sverring looks to the outside, Danny Desport just comes across to take his line and close the door. It's now 4 for the race lead. And a gap back to Garland. And then Spenkelink. Tom Young manages to recover. I think he's in 7th place now. It looks fairly stable on the timing tower. The gutter to have dropped back down the order. He was running so well. Did just manage to get away with grazing the wall on the run up the hill on lap 2, I believe. And then, a big hit into the wall. Bart Sverring clatters the wall on the left-hand side and gets sent across the track to the right-hand side, then makes secondary contact there, trying to readjust and get back on the racing line, but that will certainly give him damage in the BMW, the number 26. That's given Andreas Garland a 2nd attempt at getting back into the action. Here is a replay. This is what took Mike Vowles out of the race. Aaron Martin Pilkington in behind. They come up towards Hell Corner. The Mercedes driver is 2 or 3 car lengths in front. Hits the brake. Oh, that's a strange incident there. Almost looked like his brakes failed or something there, Steve. Very strange.
Yeah, almost looked like he'd maybe been playing with the bias and just locked the back end up there and had to sort of release the brakes again, and obviously just ran out of room to stop the car.
Very strange indeed. Race ending for Mike Vowles, who now is, I believe, in pit lane and out of the running, as Aaron Martin Pilkington now sets his sights on the race leader of Danny Desport. The Mercedes driver has been challenged throughout this preceding 20 minutes of the race, but now into the final third, he's going to have to fight to hold on to a race victory, as Aaron Martin Pilkington has made a couple of mistakes and been forced off track here at Bathurst. Looks to have the pace. He sets 2 minute 12 as his fastest lap. Last lap time around, a 2:13.6 compared to Desport's 2:14.2. So he's definitely got the pace advantage now as they head onto the mountain straight on the exit of Hell Corner. Aaron Martin Pilkington pulling to the left-hand side already showing his nose to DeSwart, who stays to the right-hand side to defend. But I believe that the Mercedes will drift back across to the left. Yes, he does, to take the optimal racing line into the right-hander at Griffin. Aaron Martin-Pilkington will be looking for a way past shortly because Mike Abrenhoser is there waiting in the wings should anything kick off in front. And with the way this race has gone so far, it wouldn't be surprising as Aaron Martin-Pilkington makes another slight kiss of the wall on the inside of the cutting as they head up over the top of the mountain. Both BMW drivers hassling the cars over the crest there, down towards the left-hander as they come up towards McPhillamy Park, pushing hard as we ride on board the splitter cam over the crest and through the left-hander, leaving a little bit of margin just in case as they come in towards Skyline. Throw the car over the crest, use the curb on the left-hand side, keep your foot on the anchor and hope the thing sticks as you throw the car into the cutting, and then release off the brake and plant the throttle down the hill towards the Forest Elbow. And this is an opportunity for Aaron Martin-Pilkington to set up a run down the Conrod Straight. It looks like they're fairly evenly matched through the left-hander, and on the exit he closes up as we see behind Bart Zverink trying to fight back through. Can he get past Mike Abrenhoser? It looks like he's got the job done. It's Martin-Pilkington closes up in the slipstream, heading down the Conrod Straight and towards the chase. Into the right-hander, they're going to hit the brakes around 100 metres to go and steer the car into the left-hander. Both cars making it into the apex as behind Zverink has got the job done. Now Martin-Pilkington is trying to set up a move, and indeed he goes to the outside, thinks better of it into Murray's, then tries to go again actually, a dummy pass on DeSport, who's going to try and run him out of the road. There's a bit of a side-by-side contact through the left-hander as they cross the line. They are side-by-side coming up towards the first corner at Hell Corner. Martin-Pilkington on the outside, Danny DeSport on the inside. There is still a lane there for Martin-Pilkington, and he's using it as he runs over the curb, plants the throttle. He might be on the outside for turn 1, but it's now the inside for turn 2, and it looks like Danny DeSport is going to have to pull out something pretty incredible to hold on to his race lead. They are side by side. Mercedes looks to have the legs in a straight line. They make side by side contact again into Griffin's Bend, and that sent Danny DeSport off into the barrier. He's hit the left hand side, manages to skirt along the wall and rejoin the race in P4 now, I believe. Aaron Martin-Pilkington wrestles the race lead off the Mercedes. Steve, neither of them wanting to give an inch there into Griffin's Bend.
No, I'm gritting my teeth. I'm making lots of Yorkshire noises because that was maybe just a little bit aggressive in my humble opinion from Pilko there. He was heading into a right-hand corner, steering a little bit left. He had plenty of room to the right. He was squeezing DeSwart, and I don't think he needed to. He didn't have the job done. They were side by side. That's just my opinion, but yeah, he's got the lead. He's got the pace. He's in the lead. Hopefully, 6 minutes to go, he'll manage to cross the line first. Whether he'll keep that position or not might be a steward's decision if there's a complaint about that move. And for me, it was a little bit harsh.
Yeah, it was a little bit close, wasn't it, as they made contact on the run into Griffins. That did seem to be the deciding factor then in the opportunity for Danny DeSwart to defend or make the counter-attack on the BMW. But we will have to wait and see. New race leader Aaron Martin-Pilkington in the number 626 BMW leads Bart Zverink, who's managed to claw his way back through the field in P2. Then it's Mike Abrenhoser, who's now challenged by the CBSR Racing Mercedes of DeSwart, who has been shuffled down the order as a result of that collision with Martin-Pilkington. Then it's Andreas Garland, who's managed to hold on to P5. He's now being challenged by Sem Spenkelink, who has climbed his way through the order from P11 to run in 6th place. As we see, Mike Abrenhoser runs deep at Murray, manages to skip through the grass and get back on the track. That's going to open the opportunity for DeSwart to go up to P3 and back onto the podium positions. Points. It could be crucial come season end. As then Spenkelink at the back of shot, now hurried by Tom Young, who's down to 7th place but still running. Great to see. Then it's the first of our AM class runners in P8 as I look to the outside from Abrenhoser on the run in towards Griffin's Bend. Can't get the job done that time, and Danny DeSport holds on to P3. Yeah, James Lyke in the 114 Mercedes, currently leading the AM category in P8. It's been a fantastic finish for him after a difficult round at Alton Park. 31st on the grid and 30th at the checkered flag. The rookie very much improved here at Bathurst with 4.5 minutes to go. He's got a healthy lead over Xander Vale in P9 as well, and an even bigger lead over Bas van Mellis, who's set for a consecutive podium in the AM category. A great performance from the driver for the 114 Mercedes. And Steve, at the front here, it almost looks like the running order's just started to space out a little bit, but as soon as I say that, there'll be something, and there it is. Spenkelink into the wall at Skyline. He hits the wall on the right-hand side, bounces across to the left. He's doing absolutely everything in his power to try and get facing the wrong way. But it's a bit of Austin Powers here, and he can't quite turn the thing round in such a short space. The drivers have to be exceptionally careful coming down the hill. He's parked in the blind spot, and as he tries to rejoin contact, I believe that's Xander Vale in the Porsche Cayman. Spenkelink pulls over to the right-hand side to give him the position. What a shame there. Spenkelink had fought his way up from P11, looks set to retire on the spot. Race-ending decision there from Sem Spenkelink. Steve, just shows you how difficult it is across the top of Skyline, but also Sem's not quite on top of this Maserati yet.
Well, I mean, mate, this is such a difficult track to say you're on top of any car around here for this length of time. You know, it's a tough track. Maserati is a tough car. There's not many people can master it. We've saw Regan Mitchell over at Simsport absolutely beast it in the last season of the GT4s. But it took him 2 or 3 seasons to get to grips with it, to get it up there on the pace. Not just to do the hot laps, but to get the consistency, because that's what's difficult with a car like that, is to be consistently quick. But you know, we've seen some good racing tonight. We've seen some fantastically close racing tonight, and I just want to apologise to the guys further down the field for not giving you much attention at all, not showing you the love. It's just the guys up at the front are battling so close, and they're still battling very close, as you can see on screen, that we've very much focused our attention towards the front end of the field tonight.
So Martin Pilkington leads, but I noticed on that last lap, Bart Sverink set the fastest time at 2 minutes 13.041. So he is the fastest man on track at the moment. But only enough to close in by 0.03 of a second, as he skims across the wall there on the exit of the left-hander. Bart Sverink still smells a shot at race victory here, as he made contact on the exit of turn 9. Aaron Martin Pilkington, 1 minute 51 on the clock. I believe the next lap will be their last as they head down the hill into the Forest Elbow. Look
at those times, Tim. I mean, you know, for 2 guys at the front pushing so hard, those times are within a tenth of each other, and even closer than that. That's an awesome display of driving from, like I said, from all the guys tonight, but especially those guys battling hard at the front. And Zerwink, you know, he's got it all to play for now. He's got Pilko in his sights. As we saw last time out, Pilko is great at managing his pace, managing his speed. He's got to the front, and he's got the pace there. And I think he'll concentrate on bringing it home. He knows he's going to go on to his final lap now, as he comes through the chase and heads down towards Murray's corner for the penultimate time. And he's going to cross this the line with just under a minute to go. So this will be the final lap he's going on to. And I don't think Zerwink's going to have much of an opportunity to get past him.
All he can do is hassle the back of his fellow BMW driver and hope from a mistake from Aaron Martin Pilkington, who's now just got to go over the mountain at Bathurst one more time. Fairly easy to say, very difficult to do. As here, further down the order, we can see a battle with Peter Vernier and one of the McLarens. That's Tim Kroll there, that actually Vernier's locked in battle with the number 90 McLaren as they head into the final corner at Murray. Driver of the Sim Racing Holland car looking for a way back through.
That Porsche's looking a little bit worse for wear, isn't it? I don't think it's quite showroom condition, that car, and I think it was a case of Kroll managed to just get past him going down Conrad Straight. Probably, as I was talking about earlier, Venier's probably struggling with a lack of top speed, and that's what's allowed that McLaren to come by him. But yeah, looking very much second hand. I think both those cars have maybe made a bit of contact with the wall at times around here tonight.
Up over the top of the mountain for the final time in race 1. Martin Pilkington's got a bit of traffic in front. That's Suke Vervat's number 73 Aston Martin, I believe. They come into Skyline for the final time, up through the curve of the crest and down towards the dipper. It's just going to be another problem that Martin Pilkington doesn't want to have to deal with as he heads towards the Forest Elbow. He needs to be careful here. Blue flags are waving for the Aston Martin, but he has to stay behind into the Forest Hill. Bart Sverring not quite close enough to pounce, and on the exit, really, Aaron Martin Pilkington should be getting a slipstream from the Aston Martin, and that will just help him gain another couple of car lengths to stop Bart Sverring closing in. Behind, Danny Desport looks to be set on P3, 3.4 seconds back. Then it's Abranhoser in P4 as they come towards the chase for the final time in race 1. As Aaron Martin Pilkington, it's been a stellar drive from him considering the mistake early on, the battle for the lead, and then he skipped down the order and has fought his way back through, giving it absolutely everything to take victory here. Race 1, it's round 2 of the season here at Bathurst. Aaron Martin Pilkington is going to cross the line, take the checkered flag and win. He goes back to back, a win at Alton Park and a win at race 1 at Bathurst. Bart Sverring follows him home 4 tenths behind. It's a BMW 1-2. Danny Desport takes the final step on the podium in P3. Then it's Mike Abranhoser and Tom Young rounding out the top 5, with James Like picking up a fantastic AM class victory in P6 overall ahead of Zandervale, Andreas Garlin and Baz van Mellis back on the podium in the AM category. Second consecutive race for him. Alexander Delort rounds out your top 10 overall. Then it's Tim Krul for Lork Driving in the number 90. McLaren crosses the line in P11 ahead of Peter Veneer in P12, and Denise Pope comes home in 13th. And then we have our final podium finisher in the AM category, a slightly battered looking Alpine A110 GT4. It's Garcia Calatode in the number 1 car. Then it's Arjen Lermans, Stefan Arvidsson and Jan Paul Eikelenboom here is going to cross the line to take P17 in a slightly second-hand looking Mercedes here. I believe this was the car that was offering the barrier at the end of the run through the first corner on the opening lap. He'll cross the line and take P17. Then it's Lee Mosley in P18 ahead of Manuel Williams. Crosses the line in 19th. Patrick Tractor looks like he's been battling with Colin Hines, who took victory at Alton Park in the AM category. But further down the order today for the driver of the number 5 McLaren. And Steve, I mean, what a race we had there. But credit where credit's due. Aaron Martin Pilkington looked a bit flustered in the opening 10 minutes, but managed to fight his way back through the order and take another victory.
Yeah, absolutely. As we said, it was some great racing there tonight, and it was all about trying to keep it, as clean as possible at the start. We saw Pilko, I won't say made a mistake, but for whatever reason there was an incident, wasn't there? And he got taken out, as it were, lost a few positions, ran wide, but he fought his way back, and he had the pace overall, I think, on the guys tonight. Those front guys weren't hanging around, but Pilko just seemed to have that pace to be able to catch them, and he got the move done. Now, whether you agree with me that it was a bit harsh or not, I think he got the move done, he got in front, and he took the lead, and he came home for the win. And I think he actually wants to talk to you, Tim.
Well, that's a rarity, people wanting to talk to me, but let's drag them in for a chat. Aaron Martin Pilkington and Baz van Mellis here to have a chat. Aaron Martin Pilkington, let's go to you first. Race victory at Alton Park was certainly one that you had to work for, but tonight here at Mount Panorama Bathurst, you certainly had to dig deep to take victory in race 1.
Yeah, I gotta watch that back, because that was insane. Oh, I do not like Bathurst one bit. I'd like to report the person who suggested it for the calendar, because it's such a horrible track.
Well, I hate to tell you as well, Aaron, you are going to have to go back out on track again for race 2 this evening. But a really intense fight at the front for the victory with Bart Sverring as well and Danny Desport. We saw you guys go side by side into Griffin's Bend, a slight bit of contact between your two cars. But the pace is high this evening, isn't it? And it looks like there's a number of guys who are all scrapping out for P1.
No, absolutely. No, this is not a carbon copy of Alton Park. I know that's no disrespect to anybody, but this, Swerink is super fast in that BMW. And of course, we were talking about it earlier, we're running 2 completely different tunes. I'm running full aero, he's running no aero, or very minimal. So he's got it all on the straight, while I've got the comfort of the mountain. So that was crazy. And then even the battle for first with, I think it was Disports, I think it was, in the Mercedes. Fair play to that guy. He raced me really hard. We came together a little bit at the beginning, which saw me drop back a lot. a bit to 8th place, and then I just all I saw was red, and I just wanted to make my way back up, which I did, I think. So yeah, we can't wait to see what you would say about that.
Well, congratulations on a race victory, second consecutive one here. And now, Aaron, Steve asked me this question before the green flag. You know, you got to start turning your mind to the championship, or is that something you're really not thinking about yet? You're just taking it race by race.
Race by race, really. At this moment in time, I think it's too early to really get ahead of yourself, especially with such a packed lineup, to think about championship contention. It would be nice, like, you know, you're never going to complain if that comes your way, but I mean, today is completely different to Alton, so you know, the next round could be completely different again. You really don't know with GT4, and yeah, just don't take anybody for granted. They are super fast, and they all have their own little niche advantages, and yeah, you really struggle against them on certain tracks.
Well, congratulations on victory. Look forward to seeing you go again in race 2, and hopefully some more fun battles for you to have out there on track at Bathurst.
Yeah, thank you, Tim.
And Baz van Mellis, it's consecutive podiums in the AM category. It looked like you were maybe potentially in a bit of no man's land there in this race 1, but a strong finish from you nonetheless to be inside the top 10. You must be pleased.
Pleased and lucky, to be honest. It was a nightmare in the first lap with all the contact, especially in the first corner. So I was lucky to get through there. And then afterwards, there were a few incidents which I could avoid. Somebody parked the wrong way around on the back straight, and it was an intense race. And like Aaron already said, it was the second race will be a whole new game. And let's hope we can get a bit more to the front and get a better quali, because I believe my race lap was faster than my quali lap.
Definitely something to sort out there, Baz. How are you finding the Porsche Cayman here at Bathurst? Do you think it's a car that suits the track?
It's quite okay. I think that the BMW and the Mercedes are faster. Especially the BMW, I think, is the fastest car here. But it's quite okay, especially the mountain section. It's quite controllable. So quite happy with it.
Brilliant stuff. Well, congratulations on another AM class podium, Baz. Looking forward to seeing you go again here in race 2 this evening.
Yeah, let's hope that we can talk to each other in 30 odd minutes.
Yes, indeed. Well, congrats, Baz. Speak to you soon.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, guys.
Steve, now as the drivers get reset and ready to go for race 2, we're just going to cut away for a quick break before the drivers head back out on track. But your thoughts for race 2? The drivers going to be going at it just as hard?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. They've had 30 minutes of practice there, I think, for race 2. They know what each other can do. They know what to expect. I think we're going to see them race even harder and even closer. And I think it's going to be even tougher to get past each other now. They know each other's moves. They know where the cars are strong and where they're weak. And I think, the next race is going to be even more frenetic than that first one.
So for all of you watching, you've got a little bit of time now, a short interval to go and top up on your snacks and your drinks and get ready and come back again for race 2. We'll be doing more of the same. It'll be a 10-minute qualifying session and then a 30-minute race. Drivers at the moment are just hopping across towards the new server for race 2. So hopefully we'll be up and running shortly. But join us back in a few moments' time. Well, that was quick, wasn't it? I hope you haven't gone anywhere, and I hope you're ready to go for race 2. Here we are back at Bathurst. For the first time, we are at a double-header event here in the Simsport Racing International GT4 Championship. It's round 2 here from Mount Panorama. There are 2 races taking place. Race 1, very much the same as we always seem to get in this championship. Exceptionally thrilling fighting throughout the field, but particularly at the front for the race victory. Aaron Martin Pilkington taking back-to-back victories now, Alton Park and race 1 here at Bathurst. But we get ready to go again. It looks like the drivers have managed to hop across into the new server safe and sound, unaware of any casualties thus far. The drivers will then be heading out for a 10-minute qualifying session as opposed to the 20-minute we have typically, and we did have for race 1 here this evening, and then another 30-minute flag-to-flag race. Tim Fulbrick's still here with Steve Proudly. Steve, if race 1 was anything to go by, get the feeling that things are going to maybe ramp up for race 2. Some scores to be settled potentially in the field.
Yeah, I think the elbows were out on some moves there in that first race, and I think the elbows will be out again from a few more drivers this time. There'll be a few drivers looking to improve on their positions, and there'll be some drivers who'll just be looking to consolidate more points. I mean, Pilko, we've talked a lot about him tonight. You know, he's won 2 out of 2 so far in the championship. He's going into this second race tonight. He'll have his sights set on the win, as he said in the interview. He's not really thinking about the championship at this moment in time. He's just taking each race as it comes, and he's looking to score as many points, and that's all you can ask from anybody, and that's the best way to win a championship. It's the best attitude and the best thought process to have. But I'm sure the rest of the guys that were around him, I mean, I'm not just talking about the top 2, 3, I'm talking about the top 5 or 6 drivers there, because the only thing I think that separated those top 6 drivers tonight realistically was a few taps of the wall here and there and a couple of run wides and outbreaks. It wasn't so much lap times, it was just about not quite having the same consistency to bring it home. I mean, Young seemed very, very quick, and I don't think his finishing position highlighted his pace. I think he could have been higher up the field, and definitely in the early stages, if he'd have been more consistent, he would have been battling for the lead.
We had Bart Sverink as well, who took a sizable hit into the wall in the final 10 minutes, I believe, up climbing the crest through the quarry in Reed Park, but he managed to then fight on and was challenging Aaron Martin Pilkington for the race lead in the closing lap. So there's certainly a lot of pace out there on track at the moment. And here we are, get set and ready for qualifying 2. Only 10 minutes this time, so less chance for those drivers to go and set those purple lap time. As Bart Sverink looks to be leading the train, so he's hoping to get out first and use the clean air to his advantage.
Well, it's going to be interesting, Tim, because if you remember in that first qualifying session where they had twice as much time, the guys were struggling to put the fast laps in the first 10 minutes because they were tripping over each other. Now, with the shortened qualifying session, they've got no option. They've all got to come out. They're going to trip over each other, and I think we might see a little bit of a mix-up. Yes, they've had a bit of practice. Yes, they've got their eye in. They know what they're doing, but it's a new server. It's a new track conditions. The track is fast. It's not optimum. So the grip levels are not maximum at this moment in time, so be prepared for some people to make mistakes, and I think be prepared for some people to qualify out of position.
Well, the driver who was out of position in the first race, Sem Spenkelink, fighting away from P11 up in towards the top 6, but making a mistake in the closing 10 minutes, sending him down the order and out of the race. A 0 score for our reigning champion here in race 2 of the season. And now race 2 this evening, he'll be looking to claw back some points in the championship fight against Aaron Martin Pilkington. Perfect score so far for the 626 BMW. On board with Bart Sverink, who was ruthlessly quick in that opening race. He'll be looking to go better though in qualifying. And can he take pole position? It was Danny de Sport who was top spot in race 1, but Sverink P2, only 600ths of a second behind. Can he find that margin here at Bathurst and take P1 and it'll be his first pole position in the series? As he crosses the line to start his first hot lap, and the first hot lap of anyone in this session so far. But already, Steve, I mean, it's a 6.2 kilometre circuit here at Bathurst, a lap time of in excess of 2 minutes and 10 seconds. That timer is looking to be running out already, isn't it? You've only really got 3 or 4 shots at it maximum.
As I said, you've got to be out the pitch, you've got to be on the track, because the track isn't rubbered in properly. It's ticked up to optimum now, you know, it's got 30 odd cars on the track, so it doesn't take long to get it rubbered in. Obviously it's dry, obviously the temperatures are good, you know, we wouldn't expect anything else at Bathurst, but the grip, just clipped the wall there, just showing the lack of grip. But they've got to be out there, they've got to put a couple of laps in. What they can't afford to do is exactly what happened there with the connection on the wall, because if you pick up any damage, you haven't got time to escape back to the pits and come out and start all over again. Realistically, you've got the fuel in the car that's going to last you sort of the 10-minute qualifying session, and you're just going to come out and you're going to put the laps in, and every single lap is going to be clean, and you're going to build your times as you go. And we see Zerwin just really trying very hard, maybe just over trying for his first flying lap. It's all too easy to do that. Maybe, you know, you just need to get that banker lap in. Yes, you do as quick as you can, but you also need to preserve the car for the next lap, which is for me will probably be the faster. The car will be in better trim, the track will have a bit more grip, and you'll be able to push that a little bit harder.
You've had to bite the bullet and accept that your absolute fastest time might not be the best way to approach this session. 6 minutes to go, all about getting a time in, scoring you know, a banker lap, like you say, Steve. Just accept that getting a clean time might be good enough for the top 5. Sverring down now into the chase. We've got a couple more corners to go, running slightly deep though, as we saw him do a couple of times in race 1. Heading down towards Murray's, the final corner, braking and then into the left hand. You don't want to use the curb on the inside, but you want to maximise it on the outside. Skips across the grass, crosses the line of 2:13.2. That's not quite the best time from Sverring. We definitely saw faster in qualifying. Pole position was a 2:11.9 from Danny de Sport, so time to be found as the first times come in. It looks like everyone's managing to do a 2:14 or so. They're going to need to bring their tyres in as well, so we could see this ramp up in the final part of this qualifying session. 5 minutes to go. Aaron Martin Pilkington, Steve, looks to be pushing already.
Haven't those technicians in the pits done an amazing job to straighten all the panels out, get the cars washed, polished, back out with a clean set of boots on, and off they go. And I think the grip levels are going to start coming to them. As I said, I think 100% right. You know, we've mentioned that banker lap, and it looks like Pilco's trying to put a banker lap in. Everybody's, you know, trying to get that safe lap in, and I still think we're going to have people out of position. There's going to be people pushing too hard. There's going to be people tripping over each other, and it's going to be a tough one. But let's just see what Aaron Martin Pilkington does on his first lap, and then we'll go find somebody who is then on their second lap, because I think that's where we are going to start to see the improvements. And I think we'll see some big improvements if they can stay out of trouble.
It looks like all the drivers are relatively spaced out on track as well. No trains forming and impedance being done to each other there. They're fairly spaced out on the track map as James Lyke actually jumps to the top of the tower at 2:13.1. And that's quickly knocked from top spot. Aaron Martin Pilkington's first lap, a 2:12.822. He's absolutely flying around the Mount Panorama circuit. Looks like there's plenty of other drivers looking to respond on their second attempt. Alexander Delort driving number 49 Aston Martin, heading down the hill. His fastest time so far, a 2:14.466, 1.6 seconds off Martin Pilkington. Looking like he's improving, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, they're all improving. There's lots of green sector times popping up on the timing sheets at the moment. Just looking at Delors, he's currently 7/8 tenths up at the minute, and that seems to be the average. There's a lot of guys 7/8 tenths up. They're all finding that pace. They're all finding that extra grip, and the track is coming to them. But it's whether it's going to come quick enough. We've got 3 minutes left on the clock. 10-minute qualifying session. I love it. I think it's insane. The drivers probably hate it, but I think for us guys watching on, I think it's awesome.
Delort doesn't improve. Oh, he does, sorry. Stays P8 as we see Arjun Lerman's actually jumped up to P9 there. A bit of a swap around. Lyke still in P2. Spenkelink goes up to P5. Change as they cross the line to set these laps. There's going to be a few more positions shuffled as the rest of them complete their laps. Aaron Martin Pilkington, though, is on a flyer, and he's certainly testing the limits, running up very close to the wall on the exit of the the dipper. Then through the Forest Elbow on the inside and the outside, he's trying to knock the wing mirrors off the BMW M4 GT4. Absolutely flying, Steve.
He is, but he actually lost a tenth or two through there. He was 2-3 tenths up. Now he's only, I say only, he's a tenth up. But Zerwink in third place is 3 tenths up currently on his lap time, so that would be enough to get him somewhere close, albeit not in front of Pilkington at the moment. But let's just see what Pilko can do in the last sections now of this lap, and then we will switch to Bart and see how he's getting on, because he's actually now showing us half a second up. So he's potentially, unless Aaron can improve by a couple of tenths, he could lose pole very soon.
Martin Pilkington is going to cross the line. He improves a 2-minute 12.765. He stays on pole position. Incredibly, James Lyke still holding on to second place in the 114 Mercedes, 4 tenths back. But Bart Svering looks to be flying down the Conrod straight as Martin Pilkington's in pit lane, so that's the best he believes he can do with 90 seconds left on the clock. Can Svering respond? Can he claim? It looks like he's not got the time in hand at the moment.
Sorry, Tim, I'm talking all over you there, but I'm excited. Danny de Swart, who is 9 tenths off pole at the minute, is 1.1 seconds quicker as he's coming through Forest Elbow at the moment. So we're going to cut to Danny very shortly, because this is going to go down to the wire.
Svering crosses the line. He takes pole, usurps Aaron Martin Pilkington. A 2-minute 12.471. He takes top spot by 3 tenths of a second. James Lyke pushed back down to third place and on the second row, but Danny de Sport is flying as another quickest time comes in. Tom Young in the 70 Mercedes, a 2:12.195. He knocks Svering back down to second place. So it's Young, Svering, Martin Pilkington, Lyke, and then it's de Sport, who we're watching at the moment, who's absolutely wringing the neck of this CBSR Racing Mercedes. One more corner. Can he claim pole position? He runs deep at Murray's. He's lost it all in the grass. Spins towards the inside. Gathers it back up again. But the jeopardy into the final corner at Murray's. And de Sport loses it. Lyke, though, looks to be going quickly as well. 16 seconds on the clock. Final times coming in now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was unlucky. I mean, he was so much quicker as de Swart there. He's definitely going to put himself on the front row, but not to be. And he's not really improved an awful lot. His qualifying now comes to an end, so this will be Lyke's last lap, and he was a tenth up. He's just lost it in the braking zone there, so he's going to struggle to improve. There is the only person at the moment that really is on a faster lap is Branosa, who is 6 tenths up now as he comes down towards the final corner.
Into the final turn at Marys. Can he keep it clean? Lyke crosses the line to take the checkered flag. He can't improve on his P4. Abramhoser through Murray's for the final time in this qualifying session. He goes from 9th to 4th place. He takes that second row starting spot from Lyke. Abramhoser flying in the number 21 Team Abbey Racing BMW. As it stands at the moment, we've got Young on poles, Svering, Martin Pilkington, Abramhoser, and then Lyke your top 5. Garlin up to P6 ahead of de Swart, Spenkelink, Pope inside the top 10, and Jordi Bakker up to P10, and then it's Alexander Delort in P11. Arjun Lohman's now in P17. If we can find just a couple of tanks, he'll jump up a few positions down into the chase in the number 46 BMW. Can he get the job done? Gets the car stopped into the left-hander, hooked through the right, plants the throttle and over the crest and down towards Murray's. Crossing the line shortly. Can he improve on his time? Into the final left-hander, gets the car stopped nicely, doesn't run out too wide. Crosses the line to go P9. What a stellar final lap from Arjun Lohmans. And Steve, I think you and I are both going to be voting for another 10-minute qualifying session. Fortunately, we will be having it later in the season at Brands Hatch, but a stellar session from all the drivers out there. We really had no idea who was going to take it.
Yeah, I mean, how do you attack that? How do you attack a 10-minute qualifying session round a track like Bathurst? As I was shouting about at the start, of that qualifying session, you need to be out on track. But I think, you go out there, and if you're the first man on the track, you've got the least grip. You're the one putting the rubber down first, and as everyone follows round, the track gets more and more rubbered in, and you expect to see those faster laps come right at the end. For me, Aaron Martin Pilkington, he should have he obviously didn't have enough fuel to go out and do another lap, but with the way that the times were improving there, he lost out by not staying on track and doing that extra last lap, which I feel sure, you know, he had the time to do. He crossed the line with time left, but he obviously went back to the pits and then decided not to, or he hadn't fueled enough and didn't, and obviously there wasn't enough time to do an outlap, but that's cost him badly there in that qualifying session. But as we saw in race 1, it's not all over in qualifying. The race is where you score the points, and that's where it's all going to happen. But yeah, fantastic qualifying session, fantastic format, fantastic work by the admin to organise that one. Really enjoyed that.
Yep, Tom Young then takes pole position. We've got a different pole sitter from the 2 races. So Tom Young and Bart Sverink, though, second place in race 1 qualifying, second place here in the second round. Then it's Aaron Martin Pilkington in P3 with Abram Hoser rounding out the second row. Then it's Like, Garland, De Swart, Spenkelink, Lermans and Pope inside the top 10. And a brilliant race ahead of us, I'm sure of it. A couple of questions in the chat. One of them, Arwin Nam, asking what format is this? Got 2 races tonight. It's the first time we're trialling this in the GT4s. We had a 20-minute qualifying and a 30-minute race in race 1. Then it was 10 minutes, 10 frenetic minutes in quali 2. And now again, we're going to have 30 minutes on the clock. For race 2, drivers are not required to visit pit lane, not required to make a pit stop. It's flag to flag action here at Bathurst. Kieran Vidago dropping a comment to say the last corner is underrated as one of the hardest corners on the track. Well, the first and last corners here at Bathurst, deceptive. They seem so simple looking at the track map, a 90-degree left-hander, especially in comparison to the rest of the lap here at Mount Panorama, but deceptively difficult. One slip and you slide wide into the grass and into the wall. A little bit more margin than at other corners, but still very easy to make a mistake, and we certainly saw plenty of instant into Murray's in the sessions we've had so far this evening. So we're 20 seconds away from the grid rolling round on the formation lap. Tom Young, though, is going to be smiling away, isn't he, inside the number 70 Mercedes, Steve, because race 1 didn't quite go his way with the scuff up against the wall when he was running inside the podium positions, but he's got a chance to make amends for it here in race 2.
He has, yeah. I mean, you know, not taking anything away from Tom Young for what he's done. He's stuck that car on pole position in a very short qualifying session. But in race 1, for me, he just didn't show enough consistency. He made a few too many mistakes of his own doing as well, from what I could see. So now he's got all that pressure of starting in pole position. He's got the entire field behind him for the first lap, and he's going to have to defend hard, as we saw De Swart in in the first race down Conrod Straight. It's not easy to defend down there on the opening laps when you've got all the cars stacking up behind you, all grabbing a slipstream, and you're the only man on the track not to be getting a slipstream. So whether he can, drive and maintain that position under all the pressure he's going to be under is yet to be seen. He's got some fierce competition behind him. Pilco's obviously qualified better than he did in the first race, so I said you wouldn't see the same man on top of the podium, but I'm wondering if we will see Pilco do a back-to-back here. I think he's got every opportunity to do it. He's got a couple of quick guys in front of him. He's got 30 minutes of racing at Bathurst ahead of him, and he's got a good opportunity to do it, I think.
Well, like we heard from Aaron in the post-race interview, he was saying that him and Bart Sverink are running very different setup philosophies in the BMWs in second and third place on the grid. Bart Sverink going for a low downforce straight line speed geared setup. Martin Pilkington going for a more higher downforce setup that allowed him to really extract the most from the car across the top of the mountain. In race 1, we saw Sverink make a couple of mistakes actually, and I think that cost him some crucial time across the race distance, but very quick up against his BMW rival in the 626. So I think that battle really is the fight for the race victory. No disservice due to Tom Young, very fast indeed, but like you say, Steve, I think in that opening race it looked like the BMWs just had the pace, because Mike Abram Hoser there in fourth as well, another very quick driver who was making moves through the field. So Tom Young's got a tricky job ahead of him, hasn't he? Holding on to P1, let alone on this first lap, as the BMWs look mighty quick in a straight line.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you're trying to say, Tim, is that the BMWs are OP for Bathurst.
I didn't say that, Steve.
You were insinuating it, I think. I was reading very much between the lines. But no, I think yeah, the Mercedes have got the work cut out, but I don't think it's impossible. I don't think the speed differential was so great that there's a massive advantage. I think 90% of it is still the driver behind the wheel. It's racecraft. It's about defending. It's about putting your car in the right position, because you've got to be a fair bit faster than the car in front to get an overtake done without the car in front making a mistake. And that's the thing that Young's got to do now, is he's got to compose himself. He's got to get these opening laps right. He's got to try and build a bit of a gap, give himself some breathing space, because that's when he can relax and just try and be consistent and not be looking over his shoulder all the time, because the minute you have to look over your shoulder, you're taking your eyes away from where you're going, and that's when the mistakes come. So hopefully Young can do it, but he's going to have a lot of pressure coming from behind.
So the grid will form into their grid order. Young will lead them away. He'll get to take the inside line up towards turn 1. He's joined on the front row by Bart Sverring. Then it's Aaron Martin Pilkington and Mike Abrenhoser, two very fast BMWs indeed. Then it's James Lyke in P5. He's had a stellar qualifying session and leads the AM category. He's got 3 or 4 positions over his nearest competitor, Arjen Lermans, in the 46 BMW, back in P9. Between them, it's Garland de Swart, Sem Spenkelink looking to make amends for race 1. Denise Pope in the 79. Wild Things Racing Ginetta rounds out the top 10. They come down towards the final corner at Murray's. The grid ready to take the green flag in this second race of the evening. It's time to make amends, or is it just a second opportunity to slip up? Ready to take the green flag. Tom Young, our pole sitter, gets away and gets away well, but Bart Sverring matches him down towards Hell Corner. They are side by side into the first turn. Aaron Martin Pilkington looking for a way past. James Lyke as well, lucky just to skip through there without contact as the field of plus 30 cars files through the first corner. They look to get through cleanly. Tom Young does have the whole shot as they run up the mountain straight over the crest towards Griffin's Bend. It is Young, Sverring, Martin Pilkington. Then it's Lyke who's managed to get in front of Abrenhoser as they head up towards Griffin's. They are side by side and he manages to hold on to that P4. Then behind Spenkelink gets past Danny de Swart, who was running wide through the right-hander, and Andreas Garlin as well benefiting from that situation as well to take the 188 Aston Martin up inside the top 7, I believe, as they come through the cutting for the first time and up over the top of the mountain through the right and left, where we saw plenty of drivers skimming across the wall. Spenkelink getting very close there on the left-hand side. He's looking for a way past Mike Abrenhoser on this opening lap as they come through McPhillamy Park. And they'll be heading up towards Skyline, one of the most difficult parts of the circuit, especially when you're following in a train of so many cars. A great start as well from Denise Pope. She looks to have held on to P9 in the standings as Bart Sverring has dropped off slightly from Tom Young, who seems to have made a stellar run across the top of the mountain for the first time of asking. As we know from the chat post race 1, Bart Sverring's BMW is geared to be quick in a straight line, and on the exit of the Forest Elbow he's already making his escape from Aaron Martin Pilkington behind and doing his best to close up on the back of Tom Young. Here is that pink Aston Martin, Mad Goetze racing car of Andreas Garlin. He's going to be going side by side with Danny de Swart. They're both closing up in the slipstream with Spenkelink, and de Swart manages to slide through on the inside. And Spenkelink holds on to 6th, but there's a change for P7 to Swart fighting back through after that run wide at Griffin's Bend. But Tom Young's really escaped up the field, Steve. 1 second at the end of that opening lap. That's the biggest lead we've seen all evening.
Yeah, just trying to prove me wrong, isn't he, Tom? But hopefully he does, and I'm rooting for him. I want him to, he put the car on pole position. He did the hard work there, and now if he can just keep it clean, stay consistent, keep the car on the track, he's doing what I said he needs to do. He's got just over a second gap now. He's going to start to minimise the efficiency of that slipstream he's providing for Zerwig behind him, and he's going to start to be able to not relax, because I don't think he can truly ever relax around Bathurst, but he's going to give himself a little bit of breathing room. As we can see there, he's definitely got a decent gap of just over 1 second, and the guys behind are going to be battling. They're going to be tripping over each other. If they can close up to P2 and put him under pressure, that's going to do Young a lot of favours.
So head up into the cutting for the second time of asking. Everyone seems to get through there cleanly. No scrapes up against the wall. Some fantastic driving from this top bunch here. They've all started to string out slightly. The field hasn't really managed to split off into groups just yet, as there seems to be a traffic jam on the exit of Griffin's Bend. The Alpine's facing the wrong way. That's Bas van Mellis's rainbow-coloured Porsche looking very heavily damaged, and in fact dropping back to pit lane. So it looks like there's been a multiple car incident on the exit of the right-hander at Griffin, causing damage to a lot of cars. Unfortunately, it looks like some race-ending incidents have occurred. A shame to see, but it's the margins we're playing with here at Bathurst. The walls are so close, and the chances of making a mistake and paying for it dearly are very much high indeed. Tom Young, though, looks to have managed to avoid any mistake that he made in the opening couple of laps of race 1. He's now leading Bart Zwerich by 1.2 seconds in the number 70 Battenberg Racing Mercedes. Then it's Aaron Martin Pilkington in P3 ahead of James Lycan. Mike Abrenhoser in 4th place. They're closely followed by Shem Spenkelink and Danny de Sport. The two cars separated by only a second. Then they've got a gap of a second back to Andreas Garlin in the number 188 Mad Goetzer Racing Aston Martin. Denise Pope holds on to P9 for now, and she's got a gap of 3 seconds over Alexander Delors in P10. So she looks set for a strong result this evening if she can keep lapping the Bathurst circuit cleanly for the remaining 25 minutes and chain. Slight skip through the grass there for Danny de Sport. That's going to cost him time in his fight against Sem Spenkelink. Fortunately able just to get back on the track and carry the momentum down the long mountain straight as they then climb up towards Griffin's Bend into the right-hander. The track climbs so steeply there, and as you try and apply the throttle super early, it's very easy to just run out wide and towards the wall. Tom Young, though, still holds a lead of 0.8 of a second over Bart Zwerich. And Steve, really one of the hardest jobs in the race, especially if you're on pole position, it's just leading that first lap, isn't it? It seems so crucial to your race result. Tom Young looks to have got that first job on his to-do list this evening ticked off the list.
Yeah, absolutely. He has indeed. He's lost a little bit of ground. It's back under a second is that lead, but Pilco's the man on the move as well. He's closing up to second place, and those two are going to close up to that leader, Tom Young, unless Young can manage to find that bit of pace he had at the beginning and get the gap away again. But Spenkelink's having a bit better race this time so far. He's really putting the pressure on P5 right now, and he's looking to make a move. So it's all looking good at the moment. De Swart is the man that's out of position compared to race 1. He's down in 7th place, but don't count him out yet. He's got some pace and he's in the slipstream.
Heading down the Conrad Straight then, Mike Abrenhoser in P5, looking to close up to James Lyke, who's having a stellar race in the number 114 Mercedes, currently holding on to P4, leader of the AM category, not too far away from an overall podium. As they come through the chase, through the left and the right, everyone seems to get through there cleanly. Heading up towards Murray's, into the left-hander. And certainly an action point in race 1. We're going to have a replay here now. This is Bas van Mellis in the rainbow-coloured Porsche. They're coming through Griffin's Bend here. Bas gets slightly unstable there, but doesn't spin. And it looks like the incident's already happened up front. There's an Audi in there. Indeed, the Alpine has been turned round. It looks like Dimitri Schenk as well is facing the wrong way. And it just took a while to get things sorted. Cars actually reversing along the track in an effort to get turned round and back facing the right way. Probably 6, 7, maybe even 8 cars involved in that one. Bas van Mellis back out on track now, getting the blue flag as this train of cars, the battle for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, file on through. But he manages to stay out of the way and not impede the racing too much. Very heads-up driving from the Porsche Cayman man to head up through the cutting and up over the crest. Steve, you get the feeling that the pressure's just started to build a little bit. Mike Abramhoser wants to get past James Light shortly and try and kick on for an overall podium. Like himself is in a good spot here and will be pleased with P4, but will arguably be looking for more. And behind, Sem Spenkelink trying to make amends for a race one that went anything but well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's on the ragged edge, and you can see in his mirror there De Swartz right up behind him and putting him under pressure. But he's closing up on Abramhoser, and he's trying to also put pressure on him. This is a real four-car battle now, and it's going to be interesting as they fire down the Conrod straight to see who gains the most from the slipstream and if anyone can be in any sort of position to make a move.
Down the back straight, out the Forest elbow. Danny De Swartz tucked up in the slipstream with that Maserati. He's got a significant speed advantage there. Pulls to the inside. They're going to be side by side into the right-hander on the run in towards the chase. And in fact, before they've even got there, Danny De Swartz has got the job done. And as they turn into the left-hander, Danny De Swartz up to P6 now. And be looking to kick on and close up towards Mike Abramhoser, who's still trying to find a way past James Light for P4 in the standing. Bit of a gap back to Andreas Garlin, who just hasn't been able to challenge this leading group. Same thing happened in race 1. And before he made a mistake on the exit of Murray's, and now in race 2, the same thing seems to be happening as Pies van Eerst running through the grass on the exit of the chase and tumbling down the order in the number 34 Porsche. Manages to get back on track safely and continue on. There's the bright pink Aston Martin of Andreas Garlin. As the camera pans around, we see Mike Abramhoser looking for a way past Light. He's on the inside on the run into Griffin's Bend. Can he get the job done? They're side by side through the right hand. And Light almost runs out of road there. Danny De Swartz now in the hot seat to make a move on his fellow Mercedes driver, and he's up the inside towards the cutting. They are side by side through the kink left and into the hairpin left. Like out on the marbles, just losing pace, skims across the wall. And just like that, he's lost 1, 2, 3 positions in the space of 2 or 3 corners. Steve, it's a very single file round here. Get shoved offline. Not only is it difficult to get back online, find yourself being passed left, right and centre in the meantime.
Yeah, absolutely. Just goes to show, doesn't it? He gets pushed that little bit offline onto the dirty part of the track, not quite as much grip, and obviously not the optimum line. Then when the cars are so close, that's it. 1, 2, 3 positions can quite easily pass you by. And on that occasion, you know, that's done. De Swartz did the hard work. He put the pressure on, and Spenkelink benefited from it. He managed to follow him through, and he's up a position as well. So great racing, great driving. Spenkelink up into 6th, De Swartz 5th now. But Tom Young, he's doing the job, isn't he? He's doing what he needs to do. He's putting the laps in. He's staying out of trouble, and he's in first place at the moment.
Let's see whether Spenkelink can return the favour on the CBSR Racing Mercedes with Danny De Swartz as they come over the crest and down towards the left-hander at the chase. Look like the Mercedes just has enough legs in a straight line, and despite the slipstream, that number 74 Maserati cannot remake the path. So Spenkelink looks like he's going to have to pull something out of the bag big time if he's going to get back past Danny De Swartz and into P5. Tom Young crosses the line at the end of lap 5, leads the way 0.8 of a second over Bart Sverink, who's tucked in behind. I mean, they're separated by a matter of hundredths of a second on those previous laps. A 2:12.9 from Young, a 2:12.993 from Sverink, and a 2:12.912 from Aaron Martin Pilkington. They're separated by less than 1/10 of a second on their most recent laps. Look at it, you can see it on screen. Crazy just how close the times are between these top 3 drivers. Sverink in P2, Tom Young leading the way in P1. I mean, 0.009 of a second on that previous lap. It just shows you how hard they're pushing as Young gets a bit of a slide on the exit of the cutting. That would have cost him time. Bart Sverink closing up now well and truly in the slipstream with the race leading Mercedes as they head over the top of the mountain one more time. 17 minutes, 52 seconds still on the clock. And Aaron Martin Pilkington waiting in the wings should the fireworks be set off between this front 2. He seems to be hustling on just as much, skimming across the curb on the exit of McPhillamy Park and kicking up some dust as they now head down the hill through the dipper and towards the Forest Elbow and in towards this tight, tricky left-hander that just disappears away from you as the camber and gradient fall down the side of the mountain. Tom Young looks to have a nice gap over the BMW, but will it be enough? 0.4 of a second as they cross the sector line, which is on the exit of the Forest Elbow. That BMW looks quick, and already it's a 10th taken out of the race lead as they file in towards the chase. The BMW tucked up behind the Mercedes, definitely is closed up in this most recent tour with the 6.2 kilometre Mount Panorama circuit. Tom Young holds on to the race lead for now, ahead of Bart Sverink, who just does a little shimmy there in the braking zone, trying to maybe disturb Tom Young's run into the final corner. But at the moment, Steve, I'm going to say what you say all the time, just run your lines, don't get distracted, don't start defending. That's what costs you time.
Yeah, absolutely. Eyes forward, put the car where you need it to be to get the optimum lap times, and make your opponent, make your opponent go around you, especially on a track like this where you don't have the great width of some of the tracks, you don't have the runoff areas. You've got to be precise, and it is very hard work to drive around someone here. It's just not really possible, and most of the overtakes, as we've seen there, they come from a slipstream down Conrod, which still isn't the easiest place to do it, or that you make the opponent, you make the driver in front make a mistake and you put him under pressure. Tom Young is absolutely driving an outstanding race in race 2. He's a lot more consistent than he was in race 1. He's soaking up the pressure so far, so good. But he's just, he's just got to manage that pressure now and keep doing what he's doing. I was just going to cut to Denise Pope because I wanted to show some people in the chat have just mentioned the top speed disadvantage of the Ginetta, and I was just going to do a speed comparison down Conrad, but she's just put it into the wall, so she's just regrouping herself now as she's coming over the mountain, and maybe we'll get that comparison when she comes down Conrad.
Such a shame. Denise Pope running inside the top 10 pretty convincingly, now down to 12th place in the 79 Wild Things Racing Ginetta. Hopefully she's recovered well, and that Ginetta will live to fight another day. She's the highest place of the Ginetta GT4s in P12. It's Stefan Arvidsson in P15 who's the closest challenger in the same machinery, but at the front of the field it's Mercedes, BMW, your top 4. Bart Sverink on a move, and here we are riding on board with Denise Pope.
So you can see the speed down there in the delta at the left and right hand side of each relative of the cars, and you should be able to see a big difference. I would say that the Ginetta's going to start topping out soon, and you can see the Aston Martin ahead is just still accelerating away. That just goes to show what they're up against.
20 kilometres an hour difference there between Geordie Backer in the number 99 Aston Martin and Denise Pope's number 79 Ginetta. Just shows you the difficulty she's got to overcome, that straight line speed deficit, which is crucial to the lap time here at Bathurst. So much of the lap is actually spent flat out, particularly one of these sections here on the mountain straight heading up towards Griffins. Bart Sverink looking closer than he has been all race to Tom Young. Darts to the outside. Young defends to the inside. All of this running's allowing Aaron Martin Pilkington to close up as there's Mike Vowles facing the wrong way. Yellow flag. They all dodge around the spun number 32 Mercedes. Fortunately, no one making contact. Hopefully, Vowles can get off the racing line even more so and allow the competitors through. Aaron Martin Pilkington, fastest lap on the previous time around, a 12.555. He's absolutely flying, and with the two leaders battling, he's really closed up, so it's 3 for the lead. There's Mike Vowles still facing the wrong way. He's doing the best thing. He's kept the brakes on, and he's not trying to spin the car around until there's a very clear opportunity. Unfortunately, from the dynamic kinetic racing driver, he's going to be waiting a little while longer for a space to be able to spin that Mercedes around. He'll be sat there watching these competitors file past, I'm sure, with a frown on his face after looking so strong in race 1 as well. On the exit of the Forest Elbow though, Steve, 3 for the lead now, and Aaron Martin Pilkington, he's carrying the momentum with him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's right in the slipstream now, tucked up behind his fellow BMW driver in P2. He's not quite close enough, I don't think, to get a move done, because Zerwink will be getting the slipstream from Young in front as well. So it's going to be pretty much, tete-a-tete, as it were. And then now... Oh, so I was just holding my breath there, because I thought that had braked a little bit too late, and I thought he was going to run straight on there, but he didn't. He managed to collect it up, just kicked up a little bit of dust, and he's actually now challenging Tom into the final corner as they come round to complete another lap. He's looking like he's mounting an attack, and with only 12 minutes left, as you said earlier, with 2 minute plus laps, that's not many laps left to get a move done.
Yeah, indeed. Bartosz Verink running it deep almost into the chase, a corner where we saw him make a couple of mistakes in race 1. He's managed to iron those out of his performance in race 2. Much the same can be said for Tom Young, who made a mistake in the opening couple of minutes of race 1, and that really just seemed to cost him time, as Mike Vowles is still facing the wrong way on the exit of Griffins, and the top 3 are now heading into this part of the track. They'll be flying up the hill now. They are getting the yellow flag. They can see that the car's in the same place, and they all manage to skirt around again, but Vowles unable to get that car facing the right way. You can see picture in picture a number of cars. James Lyke has to skip past there, nearly slightly unaware that Vowles is still in that spot. Fingers crossed that no bad incident befalls any of the competitors, as Vowles looks to try and get the car turned around at some point. This top 3 though, locked together. Martin Pilkington though looks to have made maybe a slight mistake or just lost some time. He's now just dropped off the back to the tune of nearly 6/10 of a second to Bartosz Verink in the number 26 BMW. As I say that, over the crest, closes it all back up again, and it's all back, positions resume. Looks like we're going to see another battle down the back straight at Conrod. Evan Atafas in pit lane, the number 76. Wild Things came and tumbling down the order, unfortunately. Potentially an incident befalling our previous, or our reigning champion in the AM category. Is now running in the pro class, or the overall class I might say, as the top 3 head down towards the chase. As we're coming towards the final 10 minutes of this race. And as they cross the line, we'll run you through the order, but Tom Young still holding on to the race lead. We suggested that he'd be his closest challengers in this one would be Bartosz Verink and Aaron Martin Pilkington, and they are. Young leads across the line. 10 minutes to go here at Bathurst race 2. It's Verink 6/10 behind, and Martin Pilkington a further 4.5 back. The top 3, the podium positions, separated by a second. It's then 5.3 seconds back to Mike Capron-Hoser. Danny Desport in P5, Sem Spenkelink in P6, and looking just to score any points this evening, as opposed to a 0-point score from race 1 here at Bathurst. Then it's James Lyke leading the way in the AM category in P7, ahead of Andreas Garlin, Alexander Delors, and Arjen Lermans, who's P10 overall, P2 in the AM class. Then it's Jordi Bakker, Denise Pope and Nicholas Malott, your top 13, as Mike Vowles is still facing the wrong way on the run up the hill towards the cutting. Jan Paul Eikelenboom and Stefan Arvidsson rounding out your top 15. Eikelenboom the final position on the AM category podium, as we ride on board with the Battenberg Sport number 70 Mercedes of Tom Young, looking back at the 2 BMWs that have been chasing him for the entirety of this race so far. As they fly through McPhillamy Park, great chance to see just how much elevation change there is. The BMW is almost disappearing out of shot as Tom turns over the crest at Skyline and down through the Dipper. And now Bartosz Verink has gone from attacking Tom Young to now having to defend from the BMW of Martin Pilkington, who looks to have closed right up in this previous lap or so, as Young has stretched his legs at the front and managed to bag a couple of tenths over his competitors. Martin Pilkington in the slipstream as they come up over the crest on the Conrod straight, absolutely flat out, pedal to the metal. And looking at the timing screen, it looks like Mike Vowles is still facing the wrong way, so they'll still have that to contend with when they get round past Griffins and up the hill towards the cutting. Tom Young, though, getting a good run through the chase, still holds on to his race lead, Steve.
Yeah, and that stranded car, I think it's an issue with the server. I think the driver's actually in chat saying that he's backed out of SEC, but the car's still in there if I'm not mistaken. But it takes away, more importantly, it's taking away a potential overtaking zone that's under yellow flag now, and definitely you can't get 2 cars through there. So it's if it is indeed stuck there for the rest of the race, like it looks like it is, then it's neutralised that zone for overtakes, and it's just one less place that anyone can attack Tom Young.
And that's crucial because Griffins is a great overtaking opportunity, but typically you see the move really settled on the exit if cars are running side by side. And unfortunately for the grid, that is where Mike Val's car is. You can see here Aaron Martin Pilkington gets a great run alongside Bart Sverring as they separate, split round either side of the stranded Mercedes.
Cheeky boy.
Very Mika Hakkinen and Michael Schumacher at Spa-esque there as they dived around Zonta, I believe it was, in one of the BAR cars. But here they are, trying to do exactly the same on the run up the hill in towards the cutting.
The problem for me though is it's in the handbook, no overtaking under yellow flag, so even if that cheeky little move around the opposite side of the car had worked, I think Aaron would have had to give that position back because it definitely waved yellow flags there.
So it looks like the team are doing their best to see if they can manually remove the Mercedes from its spot on the grid to see if it can just clear up that zone. But looking on the track map, it appears that the 32 is still stranded there, but I'm sure we'll get an update when the leading trio will fly through that part of the circuit. And as they come down the hill on the exit of the Forest Elbow, Tom Young needs to keep doing exactly what he's been doing for the 24 minutes up until this point. He's only going to have potentially 2-3 laps to go here at Bathurst. Time is running out for any of these BMW cars to make a move for the race lead. Tom Young will be staring at that clock, wishing it would just tick down a little faster as they're near the end of this race too here at Mount Panorama. Coming up towards traffic though, that's going to be the next challenge for Tom Young to deal with. There is a car out on the road in front of him. I believe it's Evan Natafas's number 76 Porsche. As we look back from Bart Sverring, hopefully this will give us a good impression of the setup differences between these two BMWs. As we heard in the break between race 1 and race 2, Sverring's opted for a more straight line speed setup compared to Aaron Martin Pilkington's higher downforce configuration on the BMW. We're just starting to see here towards the second half of the mountain straight, just another car length or two really get put between the two BMWs. But then on the brake and through the turn at Griffins, Martin Pilkington closes right back up again. And it looks like, judging by the way they took the run up towards the cutting, Mike Val's Mercedes has been removed from the track. So it is green flag all around the circuit now, opening up an opportunity then for Aaron Martin Pilkington to potentially get the pass done for P2 as they did a glance across the wall on the run through the quarry. As they come up towards McPhillamy Park, they're both wringing the necks of these BMWs. Facing the wrong way there. There was a Porsche on the inside. A little heart and mouth moment there. I wondered if that was our race leader, but it appears that Tom Young is continuing on his way.
He did lose time, Tim. He did lose some time. I think he just touched one of the walls.
Yeah, potentially as well, being distracted by the car spun off to the inside. It's difficult enough trying to keep your focus here at Bathurst, let alone when incidents are taking place around you. On the exit of the Forest Elbow, heading down the hill. As the camera pans round, you can see just how close Bart Sverring is. Tucked in the slipstream, the straight line speed of this BMW is far superior to the Mercedes. Look at him closing in on the run in towards the chase. Are we going to see a change for the race lead? Tom Young defends to the inside. Bart Sverring looks for the open lane on the outside, but can't get the job done. Young's going to close the door on the run through the right-hander and towards the final corner at Murray. Aaron Martin Pilkington will be licking his lips and ready to make a move should the opportunity present itself. Into the final corner, the left-hander. I believe we're going to have 2 laps to go here at Mount Panorama. Tom Young leads the way, 3/10 between him and Sverring. A further 3/10 between Sverring and Martin Pilkington. They are locked together here in this final 3 minutes of the race. But it looks like Sverring's close to make a strike and make a move for this race lead as they thunder up the mountain straight. Sverring far superior in the straight line speed, especially with this slipstream. Can he go to the outside? No, he was trying to hope, I believe, that Young would move over to the left-hand side and try and take his line. Here's Mercedes sailing up the inside into Griffin's Bend, but no change for now. And there's a red and white striped BMW looming large. Steve, one mistake is going to decide this one. It's very ran slightly wide into the cutting. Nearly allowed Aaron Martin Pilkington through, but you get the feeling it's going to be who can just survive this final 2 laps, because these guys are leaving everything out there on the track.
Oh my word, yeah, they're just, you know, attack turns into defence very, very quickly. For P2 at the moment, he's not having it all his own way, and he's really, you know, he's got to defend the best he can while still trying to maintain a bit of an attack on P1. He's got it all to do now. As Pilkington, you know, over the top of the mountain, we can see that he's running more downforce, he's got more grip. Maybe just a little bit of a kiss on the wall there, but he's definitely got more grip through the mountain. But he really, I mean, he just loses out down the straight on top speed massively. I mean, this BMW, there's just no comparison between the two.
So here we go then, for penultimate time, down the Conrod straight. Aaron Martin Pilkington nowhere near able to challenge for P2. Bart Sverink doing his best to close back up on the race lead. Tom Young has led every single lap here at Bathurst in race 2. Can he hold on to a victory in this second race here at Mount Panorama? He looks to be doing the job so far. He's going to have one more lap of the 6.213 kilometre circuit to complete. He's so close to a debut, a maiden win here in the Simsport Racing International GT4 Championship, as Aaron Martin Pilkington looks to try and put a move on Bart Sverink into hell corner, or at least just distract him by filling the mirrors. He's been doing that for the last 20 plus minutes. The top 3, the class of the field, as they gap Mike Abramhoser and Danny Desfort in P4 and 5. Then it's Spenkelink in P6 ahead of James Lyke, Andreas Garlin, Alexander Delors and Arjen Lermans, your top 10. Tom Young has crucially done just enough to keep Bart Sverink at bay and through into one of the good overtaking opportunities here at Mount Panorama. He holds on to the race lead. He's now got to survive across the top of the mountain, from the cutting all the way down through to the forest elbow, and then it'll be the run down through the chase and to the checkered flag. He's got a lead of nearly a second, so he's battling behind. Sverink and Martin Pilkington are costing each other time. Tom Young just able to stretch his legs and build a bit more of a buffer over the BMWs. They head through McPhillamy Park for the final time. Steve, Tom Young can almost smell the checkered flag now. He's so close, but there's still a lot to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, I'm just going to pull you up on a little bit of an understatement there. Tom Young's done just enough. I think Tom Young, he's led from lights out, and hopefully to flag he's coming over the mountain for the final time. And after, you know, I hold my hands up, I wasn't quite sure he'd do this, because I thought he made too many mistakes in race 1, didn't have the consistency, but boy, has he proved us wrong. He's just coming down the Conrod straight now for the final time. He's hopefully going to bring this home for P1 now, well deserved, while the other two battle over the scraps for second and third behind him. He's cleared off. He's never been really more than a second up the road. He's soaked up the pressure. He's driven impeccably well. Fantastic race. The BMWs have got more straight line speed. Certainly P2 has, but you know, he's managed to be where he needs to be on the track, as it looks like Pilco's going to have a last gap dive into the final corner. Not quite close enough. So yeah, looks like Young's going to bring it home for the win. Well done, Tom.
Taking the checkered flag, Tom Young, victory here in race 2 at Bathurst, and he celebrates with a wiggle of his number 70 Battenberg Racing Mercedes, crossing the line ahead of Bart Sverink and Aaron Martin Pilkington. Rounding out your podium, then it's Mike Abramhoser in P4 ahead of Danny Desfort, and then it's James Lyke who takes a fantastic AM-class victory. As to the line, Sem Spenkelink looks to have just got past Andreas Garlin for P7, and then P8, and then it's Alexander Delors in P9 ahead of Arjen Lermans. Geordie Backer's up to P11 after dropping out of race 1 ahead of Denise Pope, who had to settle for 12th place after the mistake mid-race. Jan-Paul Eikelenboom manages to lap a lot cleaner in this second race. Very less damage on the front end of his number 31 Mercedes compared to race 1. And Stefan Arvidsson comes home in P14 to round out the AM category podium. No, sorry, actually Jan-Paul Eichenboom's rounding out the AM category podium. Sorry, Stefan. Then Colin Hines, race winner at Alton Park in the AM class, is in 15th place ahead of Tim Krault, Xander Vale, Nicholas Malott in P18. Then we'll have Manuel Willems in the number 195 MRW Motorsports Mercedes taking the flag in P19 ahead of Lee Mosley in the number 75 Aston Martin. Daniel Hoekstra not really featuring in this race. He's had some strong runnings in this series, especially last season. Unfortunately not featuring too much today at Bathurst, but a difficult circuit nonetheless, with Alejandro Martinez in the number 7 Bronco Racing McLaren going to be taking the checkered flag in P22. I believe the last runner on the lead lap, as he rounds the chase for the final time and brings the car in towards the checkered flag after running through the left-hander at Murray's. But one driver that will be very happy to see the checkered flag, that was Tom Young, who managed to hold on to the race victory, but didn't just hold on, he did it in stellar fashion. Ironed out those mistakes, Steve, that he made in race 1, and that proved decisive in his route to victory here in race 2.
Yeah, I can't say enough about him, to be honest. Fantastic drive this evening there, especially in race 2 there. I mean, for me, I was surprised at how fast the field spread out for that race 2 compared to race 1. It was almost like a different class of drivers out there. Race 1 was fast, frenetic, battling up and down the field, running so close together, but they just seemed to be a lot more controlled in race 2. If that's the right thing to say, right way to put it, I'm not sure, but they were definitely, there wasn't as they weren't all tripping over each other all the time. There wasn't as many mistakes made. It was very, very good racing all round in race 2, and it was a lot more, I think, more controlled maybe.
It was a lot cleaner, it seemed. We saw a lot less cars with scuffs, dents and bumps into their front or rear ends indeed, and they managed to make it back to the checkered flag in 1P. So just wait on to see if any of the drivers want to tell us about their race, but if not, we will bring the show to an end. This is a nice replay of turn 1. You just see the cars filing into Hell Corner. Everything looking fairly clean indeed, considering the number of cars on track and just how close the action has been. But Steve, it's a rarity that we see a driver lead from start to finish. Tom Young did a stellar job, but the battle in behind between Bart Sverink and Aaron Martin Pilkington was really engaging to watch, as, like we said, the two different setup configurations for the two cars, but neither of them either able to really extract the best on the whole lap. We could see quite clearly Bart Sverink could just leg it away in the straight line, and Aaron Martin Pilkington had to hustle on through in the corners to even get close to his BMW rival.
Yeah, I mean, that was it. That was a big difference in the setup there, and I think it cost Pilko in that second race. I think if he'd have got in front, it would have been hard for the other BMWs to get back past him, but he just didn't have the legs to get past him where he could, because let's face it, the only time, as we've said so many times, the only time you can overtake around here is if somebody makes a mistake or you've got the top speed down the Conrod straight. Aaron didn't have the top speed, and it was single file over the mountain. There was nothing he could do, there was no more. But I tell you what, let's ask the man himself, Tim, as he's popped in for another chat, because he likes nothing more than to talk to us and tell us how his race went, and boy, what a race that was.
Aaron Martin Pilkington, well, different to race 1 in that you're not stood on the top step of the podium, but indeed a battle nonetheless, and a massive fight with Bart Sverink for the entirety of race 2. How was your event?
Oh, that was amazing. That last race there really encapsulated. I kind of felt like I was pretty lucky in that first race, and yeah, racing with Bart and racing with Mr. Young as well, who didn't put a foot wrong the entire 30 minutes of Bathurst, which is commendable in itself. Like, none of us really did. And yeah, it's just one of those tracks you really can't pass on unless you take advantage of someone else's mistake, and these guys didn't make a mistake. It was really good.
We saw, the difference in setup. Were you really having to hustle on through the corners to catch up back to Bart, to make up that time, or did you find that, the pace difference was enough that you were there at the end of the run across the mountain, but just on the Conrod Straight, he was able to drive away from you?
I think Bar would agree with me that I was absolutely flying through the mountain, and I think I would have gone a lot faster, obviously, but that we're not hot lapping, we're racing. But as soon as we get to the straights, you know, which is a good portion of Bathurst in itself, these guys pulled away, and it was a smart play because I think qualifying is really important at Bathurst, and yeah, they made it work for them, and yeah, good play from them.
And coming into this evening, would you have taken a race win in P3, considering how difficult it is to race at Bathurst?
Absolutely. Honestly, I've never had a good result here. So I'll take this one and move on to the next one.
Well, congratulations, Aaron. Look forward to seeing you at the next round.
Thanks, Tim.
We'll go over to Bart Sverink. Bart, 2 P2s in qualifying and then a P2 here in race 2. It seems to be a lot of P2s for you this evening.
Yeah,
not enough to take the win, but a lot of pace.
No. Yeah, on the straights, I just had, like Aaron said, I was driving very low downforce. So I thought I could catch them on the straight, but not happening today. Both straights, I could not get any closer, and when I was next to him, the speed difference was gone, so I could not overtake. Tried it once, and thought, I guess the second place is good enough. It's better than 8th or 10th when I put it in the wall. So, but in the mountains, it was it was difficult to keep it on track, and especially when off throttle section, it was very slippery with the low downforce. So.
Brilliant stuff. I mean, we saw a number of mistakes from the top, the top 5-6 drivers in race 1. Did you feel like you managed to iron out those errors in race 2 and have a much cleaner event?
Yeah, race 1 was much more hectic. We were with 5 guys in one pack, and everybody was trying to overtake everybody. So. It's the first race. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what they are going to do, so you're a little bit nervous. So and you brake a little bit too late, and the mistake is made quite easy. So race 2 was very good. Was very good. No mistakes. Maybe a millisecond braking too late, but we were copying each other. So. Just driving the same lap times and no possibility to overtake. So it was a great race.
So I've got a question for both of you, and I'll go back to Aaron first for your response to this. How did you find the double-header event in GT4s? It's quite exciting to have 2 races in one evening, and almost can right the wrongs of race 1 or second opportunity to slip up. How did you find it, Aaron?
I ain't getting any younger, Tim, and I really like the break in between the 2 races. I think the 30-minute format is something I would advocate for more than anything. It went before you even knew it. That second race, you just blink and 30 minutes is gone, and you're still in 3rd place. You're still in a cracking race, and I kind of feel like it gives you time to reset in between, which is really important because you can sometimes lose focus in an hour, or I certainly do. So I really advocate for the 30-minute races. I really like them.
Bart, your thoughts on the double race format?
First race with an hour was very good. I think it's the kind of track that the Bathurst 1 hour. I don't know if I can keep up. I'm totally broken at the moment. So the break in between was good, and I think it's for both formats. It's something to say for. So I like them both.
Brilliant stuff. Well, thank you very much, the pair of you, for dropping in post-racing. Congratulations on your podium finishes this evening.
Yeah, thank you.
Steve, great to hear from Aaron and Bart there. 2 drivers that were pushing the absolute limits around the Bathurst circuit this evening, and both of them dragging some fantastic results out of the BMW. A double header, though, crucial towards the championship, and those are 2 drivers. Aaron Martin Pilkington, who's going to be leading the way, and Bart Sverink climbing up the order with 2 P2s. This evening could be crucial come the end of the season.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, that's an extra round's worth of points there for them, and all 3 of those drivers at the top 3 made the most of both races. It's fair to say Tom Young was down a few positions in the first race, but still had a strong finish. So their championship standings, it won't have done them any harm at all. On the opposite side of the coin, there was a few guys further down than they would have liked to have been, and that will have cost them. That will have damaged their championship massively. So the double header, 2 30-minute races, I'm all for it. I thought that was fantastic racing tonight. I thought the qualifying session was great. I think personally I'd like to have seen 10 minutes qualifying maybe in the first race as well. I don't know. It was just so exciting. It was something new, it was something different, and it was great. But that second qualifying session was very, very exciting as well as the racing, wasn't it? It was, you couldn't build up to anything. You had to put everything out there and just go and do it straight away. Try and get that banker lap in, but then make every single lap count. It was intense, and I think it was hard work for the boys tonight. But I think, the boys and girls, Denise did very well. But I think they've all enjoyed it. I think most of them, I would like to think a lot of that will be positive feedback, and I think the racing was displayed how much they were enjoying it. There was lots and lots of close racing.
Well, that concludes the action here from Mount Panorama, Bathurst, New South Wales. We've been the broadcast team, Tim Fulbrick and Steve Proudly, bringing the action from this double header of round 2 and round 3. Thank you very much for joining us. Plenty of people active in the chats across the streams. Thank you very much for giving us your time, and I hope you enjoyed the action. If you did, please like and subscribe to SRHI TV to stay across all the racing action here. Aaron Martin Pilkington in race 1, but a dominant Tom Young showed that he is a name not to ignore in this GT4 championship. Until next time, we see you then. Goodbye.